Welcome, brave souls, to another spine-chilling journey into the heart of darkness. Tonight, we delve deep into the eerie corridors and shadowy cell blocks of Illinois, a state with a rich history of haunted penitentiaries. From the infamous Old Joliet Prison to the mysterious Statesville Haunted Prison, these institutions have witnessed countless tales of torment, tragedy, and untimely demise. As the wind howls and the moonlight casts long shadows, join us as we explore the 25 most haunted prisons in Illinois, where the echoes of the past refuse to fade. The Old Joliet Prison, a massive fortress of limestone rising from the outskirts of Joliet, Illinois, has stood silent and foreboding for more than a century and a half. Built in 1858, its walls were meant to confine some of the most dangerous criminals of the era. Yet today, many believe those walls have taken on a life of their own. Visitors approach the prison with curiosity, unaware that the history of the place is steeped not just in crime and punishment, but in whispers, shadows, and restless spirits that refuse to move on. From the moment one steps onto the grounds, a sense of weight hangs in the air, heavy as if the stones themselves remember the years of suffering, fear, and despair that unfolded within. The prison, constructed from locally quarried limestone, has an imposing presence. Its architecture, with tall, narrow windows and iron-barred gates, evokes a sense of oppression, as though it was designed not just to keep prisoners in, but to impress upon them the futility of resistance. For decades, Old Joliet Prison housed men who would become notorious names in criminal history. Among them were John Wayne Gacy, whose crimes would shock the nation, and the infamous gangster Babyface Nelson. These men walked the same halls, slept in the same cells, and now, some say, their restless spirits linger still. Those who have ventured inside report experiences that defy explanation. A common phenomenon is the sudden chill that snakes through corridors, often in areas where the prison's heating systems long ago fell silent. Cold spots appear without warning, leaving visitors shivering even in the summer months. Staff and paranormal investigators alike have described hearing ghostly whistling echoing through the abandoned cell blocks. Sometimes the sound is faint, like a solitary voice carried on the wind. Other times, it is sharp, deliberate, almost mocking, as if the prison itself is reminding intruders that they are not alone. Disembodied voices are another frequent occurrence. Visitors have heard murmurs of conversation from empty rooms, footsteps pacing on stone floors long after the prison was vacated, and doors opening or closing with no apparent cause. One caretaker recounted a chilling moment in the old solitary confinement wing, where a distant voice whispered his name so clearly that he swore someone was nearby, yet the room was empty. Others have reported shadowy figures darting across hallways, glimpsed from the corner of the eye, only to vanish when turned toward directly. Perhaps the most haunting tales originate from the convict cemetery adjacent to the prison. The cemetery, largely forgotten except for those who seek it, is the final resting place for prisoners who died during incarceration, many of them without family or ceremony. It is here that the legend of the singing ghost emerged. Visitors describe hearing soft, mournful hymns drifting across the headstones at night. The voice, ethereal and sorrowful, carries the weight of decades of lost lives. It is said that those who pause to listen can feel an unnatural calm settle over them, yet it is tempered by an undeniable sense of sorrow, as if the spirits are reminding the living of the human cost of confinement. Paranormal investigators have returned repeatedly, documenting phenomena that resist logical explanation. Equipment frequently malfunctions near certain areas of the prison. EMF meters spike without apparent cause, and digital recorders capture faint whispers when no human voice is present. Some investigators claim to have seen apparitions of men dressed in old prison garb, pacing the cell blocks as if still tending to unseen duties. Others have reported fleeting glimpses of shadowy figures peering from windows or standing silently at the end of long corridors. Even the prison's more mundane history contributes to its eerie reputation. Stories of riots, executions, and harsh punishments echo through the decades. Inmates endured grueling labor, long periods of solitary confinement, and the psychological strain of living under constant surveillance. Over time, the cumulative energy of fear, anger, and despair seems to have seeped into the very stones, leaving an imprint that modern visitors can sense. Some local lore even suggests that the spirits of certain inmates are more active than others, particularly those who died under violent or unjust circumstances. John Wayne Gacy, for instance, is rumored to haunt the areas he frequented most during his incarceration. Though such claims cannot be verified, countless accounts of eerie laughter, sudden cold spots, and shadowy figures lend an unsettling credibility to the stories. Despite, or perhaps because of its dark past, Old Joliet Prison has become a destination for thrill seekers, ghost hunters, and those fascinated by the paranormal. Guided tours recount tales of notorious inmates and chilling experiences reported by past visitors. Many report a sense of unease, even in daylight, a subtle reminder that the prison's history is not entirely confined to the past. The combination of historical significance and paranormal intrigue creates a magnetic, albeit chilling, draw. In the end, Old Joliet Prison is more than a relic of Illinois penal history. It is a living reminder of the human stories, both tragic and sinister, that unfolded within its walls. The whistling, the cold spots, the voices, and the singing ghost all serve as eerie markers of lives lived and lost within the fortress. Those who walk its halls or stand among the gravestones often leave with a sense that the past is not gone, that the prison, in its silent, stone-bound way, continues to observe, to whisper, and to haunt. Visitors may come seeking history, adventure, or a brush with the paranormal, but few leave unchanged. Old Joliet Prison offers a stark confrontation with mortality, morality, and the unseen world that many prefer to ignore. The prison stands, imposing and silent, a guardian of secrets, too dark for the daylight, a place where the line between the living and the dead blurs, and where the echoes of the past refuse to fade quietly into the night. Statesville Haunted Prison in Lockport, Illinois, is unlike any typical haunted house. Though it was never an actual correctional facility, its reputation as one of the most haunted attractions in the state has grown steadily over the years. Built within a sprawling former prison warehouse, the site combines authentic industrial architecture with masterfully crafted horror sets to create an experience that blurs the line between staged fear and something more unsettlingly real. Visitors often arrive expecting a standard haunted attraction, but many leave with stories that suggest the walls themselves may be hiding more than just decorations. From the moment one steps onto the property, a heavy, almost tangible atmosphere hangs in the air. The exterior of the building, with its crumbling brick and steel framework, evokes the stark, cold feeling of an actual prison. Inside, the designers have taken full advantage of this ambience, filling the space with narrow corridors, barred doorways, and shadowed corners that naturally put visitors on edge, even before the first scare actors appear. The structure itself seems to whisper of confinement and forgotten lives, creating an uncanny realism that separates Statesville from typical seasonal haunted attractions. One of the most commonly reported phenomena at Statesville Haunted Prison is the sensation of being watched. Visitors often describe moments when, even in the middle of a crowded corridor, they feel as though invisible eyes are tracking their every movement. Some have claimed to hear faint footsteps following them, only to turn and see empty hallways. Others report glimpses of shadowy figures disappearing around corners, leaving an unsettling awareness that the warehouse may hold entities beyond the actors dressed in costume. Temperature fluctuations are another signature element of the experience. While the attraction employs fog machines, fans, and hidden air vents to create atmospheric effects, many visitors insist that sudden, bone-chilling drops occur in areas where no mechanical explanation exists. People have recounted feeling icy cold rushes and narrow passageways or rooms that should have been warm, sometimes accompanied by a sense of heaviness pressing down on their shoulders. These experiences have contributed to the belief that the site may be imbued with residual energy, perhaps from the warehouse, its long industrial past, or the intense emotions elicited within its walls by the haunted attraction itself. The sets and staging at Statesville Haunted Prison are meticulously detailed, enhancing the realism to a level that often leaves visitors questioning what is real. Authentic props, chains, shackles, and cells give the illusion of a genuine correctional environment. Rooms are furnished with rusted cots, padded isolation areas, and remnants of machinery that suggest long-forgotten industrial activity. Actors are trained to move and react like they are part of the environment rather than performers, blending seamlessly into the shadows, creating moments where the line between staged and supernatural becomes ambiguous. The attention to detail extends to soundscapes as well. Distant moans, clanging metal, and eerie whispers fill the space, intensifying the sense of dread and immersion. Many first-time visitors report heightened anxiety and an almost paralyzing sense of anticipation. The layout of the attraction encourages exploration, yet the narrow hallways and sudden twists create the perfect conditions for fear to take hold. When combined with unexpected scares and the sensation of being observed, the experience can feel far more intense than conventional haunted houses. Groups often notice that individuals react differently to certain areas. Some are drawn to the darkest corners, sensing movement or voices, while others feel inexplicably repelled, compelled to move quickly to the next room. Paranormal enthusiasts have also been drawn to Statesville Haunted Prison, intrigued by the persistent claims of unexplained phenomena. While the attraction itself is designed for fear, reports of real ghostly activity have surfaced. Investigators have documented sudden cold spots, fleeting shadows, and electronic disturbances in areas that are supposedly void of actors or effects. Some have even captured faint whispers on audio recordings, although skeptics suggest these could be byproducts of the attraction's elaborate sound design. Regardless, the consistency and specificity of these accounts have fueled speculation that the location may have developed its own haunted presence. Separate from the theatrical scares it was designed to produce, visitors often describe the experience as psychologically immersive, with the attraction tapping into primal fears of confinement, isolation, and the unknown. The combination of dim lighting, confined spaces, and realistic prison aesthetics creates an oppressive atmosphere that lingers long after leaving. Many report lingering unease on the drive home, a sense that unseen forces are still following them, or that the building itself continues to watch from a distance. Some return year after year, drawn by the unique combination of thrill and fear, hoping to encounter the unexplained once again. Despite its status as a staged attraction, Statesville Haunted Prison has earned a reputation that rivals actual haunted sites. Its success lies in the careful balance between crafted horror and the eerie realism of its environment. The warehouse setting, with its shadows, corridors, and industrial echoes, provides an ideal canvas for both human actors and, allegedly, spirits that may have taken up residence over the years. Each visit is unpredictable. A corner that seemed empty one night may appear inhabited the next, and the boundary between performance and paranormal presence remains tantalizingly blurred. In the end, Statesville Haunted Prison offers more than just frights. It provides an experience that combines historical ambiance, immersive storytelling, and unexplained phenomena, leaving visitors questioning the nature of fear itself. The attraction's power lies not just in jump scares, but in the pervasive sense that the space remembers the emotions of everyone who has entered, a collective energy that amplifies both human and possibly supernatural activity. For those brave enough to navigate its dark corridors, Statesville Haunted Prison is a place where the line between staged horror and real hauntings becomes almost indistinguishable, a chilling testament to the enduring allure of the unknown. Menard Correctional Center, located in Chester, Illinois, is one of the state's oldest and most notorious prisons. Established in 1878, its towering walls and iron-barred cells have witnessed over a century of confinement, punishment, and human suffering. The prison's history is marked not only by the criminals it housed, but by the harsh realities of life within its walls: harsh discipline, violence, and, in many cases, death. Over the decades, Menard has become infamous, not only for its long list of dangerous inmates, but also for the stories of paranormal activity that continue to unsettle both staff and visitors. From the outside, Menard Correctional Center presents an imposing image. Its gray limestone walls stretch for miles, punctuated by watchtowers that once monitored every movement of inmates and staff alike. The architecture, designed to intimidate and control, seems to carry the weight of the countless lives that have passed within. Walking the grounds, one can almost feel the echoes of the past, an oppressive energy that some believe has lingered long after the prisoners have gone. It is in these heavy atmospheres that many report their first experiences of something beyond the natural. Unexplained noises are among the most frequently reported phenomena at Menard. Guards and visitors alike describe hearing footsteps echoing through empty hallways, the clanging of cell doors long after the prison has fallen silent, and low murmurs that seem to rise from nowhere. Some have reported hearing the sound of chains dragging along the floors, or the faint but unmistakable voices of prisoners calling out from the dark corners of the cell blocks. Even during daylight hours, when the prison is bustling with activity, these sounds can suddenly appear, unnerving those who hear them and leaving them questioning whether the noises are entirely human. Shadowy figures are another common occurrence. Staff members have described seeing dark silhouettes moving quickly through corridors, disappearing when approached or observed directly. Inmates themselves have reported glimpses of figures standing silently at the ends of hallways, watching them with an intensity that defies explanation. Some of these shadows appear in areas long abandoned or in sections where no prisoners are housed, suggesting that the activity may not be linked to any living person. These sightings are often accompanied by a heavy feeling of being watched, as if unseen eyes are following each step with a deliberate intent. Physical sensations of paranormal activity have also been reported. People walking through certain cell blocks or rooms have felt sudden touches on their shoulders, backs, or arms, despite no one being nearby. Some describe the feeling as a cold hand pressing down, while others experience a more intangible pressure that weighs heavily on them. These unexplained touches often provoke a strong emotional response, ranging from fear to a deep, inexplicable sadness. Many who experience these sensations describe them as lingering, leaving an uneasy impression that persists long after they have left the area. Executions and violent incidents have contributed to the prison's eerie reputation. Over its long history, Menard has been the site of numerous deaths, both sanctioned and otherwise. Executions, carried out with precision and routine, left behind the energy of individuals facing their final moments. Violent outbreaks and altercations between inmates also produced intense emotions that, some believe, have not dissipated over time. It is this accumulation of intense human experiences, fear, anger, despair, and pain that many think has imbued the prison with its supernatural presence. Several areas of Menard are particularly associated with paranormal activity. The cell blocks, with their narrow, confined spaces, are often the epicenter of reports. In these areas, the oppressive architecture amplifies feelings of anxiety and dread, creating the perfect conditions for both psychological and supernatural experiences. The prison yard, though open to the sky, has also been the site of unusual phenomena, with visitors reporting sudden chills, inexplicable shadows, and the faint echoes of voices carried on the wind. Even the older administrative offices are said to hold residual energy, with workers hearing footsteps or doors opening and closing without explanation. Some believe that the spirits haunting Menard Correctional Center are not random or malevolent, but rather restless entities tied to the intense experiences of life within the prison. Former inmates who suffered under harsh conditions or met violent ends may linger, unable to find peace. Others suggest that the spirits of individuals who were wronged or unjustly punished continue to roam the halls, seeking acknowledgement, justice, or, in some cases, revenge. Witnesses often report that these presences seem aware of their surroundings, reacting to the emotions of those nearby, as if the living are intruding upon their eternal domain. Paranormal investigators have visited Menard numerous times, documenting the strange occurrences with audio recorders, cameras, and electromagnetic sensors. Many report capturing unexplained sounds, cold spots, and even shadowy figures on video. Though much of the evidence is subtle and open to interpretation, regardless of the skepticism surrounding such investigations. The consistency of these accounts over decades has cemented Menard's reputation as one of Illinois' most haunted prisons. Visitors and staff alike describe an enduring sense of unease when walking through the facility. Even in the absence of direct experiences, there is a palpable weight to the air, a sense that the prison remembers every story, every struggle, every death that occurred within its walls. For those who enter, whether out of curiosity or duty, the impression is often that Menard is not simply a building, but a repository of human emotion, echoing with the residual energy of lives lived and lost behind its bars. Menard Correctional Center remains operational today, its history intertwined with both justice and the paranormal. The combination of real-life tragedy, intense human emotion, and the stark environment creates a setting that is uniquely suited for reports of hauntings. Whether these experiences are born of psychological tension or something more supernatural, the accounts are numerous and compelling, leaving little doubt that the prison holds secrets far beyond what appears on the surface. For those who step inside its walls, the past is never truly gone. It lingers in the shadows, in the whispers, and in the cold, unyielding stone that has witnessed more than a century of confinement, suffering, and restless spirits. Pontiac Correctional Center, located in Pontiac, Illinois, was one of the state's most notorious prisons during its long history. Operating from 1851 until its closure in 2013. Its reputation for harsh conditions and strict discipline made it a formidable place for inmates, many of whom became infamous figures in criminal history. The prison's long years of operation, combined with the suffering endured within its walls, have left a lasting impression, one that many believe extends beyond the physical and into the paranormal. Today, Pontiac Correctional Center is remembered not only for its place in Illinois' correctional history, but also for the eerie, unexplained events reported by staff, visitors, and paranormal investigators. Walking onto the grounds of Pontiac Correctional Center, one is immediately struck by the imposing presence of the facility. Massive stone walls and high iron-barred gates give the impression of containment and authority, while the austere architecture evokes a sense of confinement and vigilance. The exterior alone, with its weathered bricks and stark watchtowers, seems to carry echoes of a past filled with fear, discipline, and despair. Inside, the narrow corridors and low-lit hallways amplify this sensation, creating an atmosphere in which the past feels almost palpable. Reports of paranormal activity at Pontiac are numerous and consistent. One of the most commonly cited phenomena is the appearance of flickering lights. In certain areas of the prison, lights are known to dim and flash without any mechanical explanation. These flickers are often accompanied by other strange occurrences, such as the sudden feeling of a presence in the room or the sound of footsteps echoing through otherwise empty hallways. Staff members have reported that these flickering lights tend to be most active in older sections of the facility, particularly near the solitary confinement units and long-abandoned cell blocks. Disembodied footsteps are another hallmark of Pontiac's haunted reputation. Many witnesses recount hearing heavy steps pacing the corridors, moving from cell to cell, sometimes accompanied by the metallic clinking of keys or chains. The sounds often begin softly, barely audible above the ambient noise of the prison, and gradually grow louder, giving the unsettling impression that someone or something is walking just behind or ahead of the listener. These footsteps have been reported at all hours, both during periods of active occupation and after the prison was largely empty, suggesting that the phenomena are independent of human activity. The sound of chains dragging across the floor is one of the most chilling aspects of Pontiac's paranormal history. Guards and visitors alike have claimed to hear the distinct scraping of metal, as if prisoners were shackled and moving through the hallways. These sounds often occur in areas long abandoned or in sections where no physical chains are present, heightening the sense that the prison itself may be a conduit for residual energy. Some witnesses describe a sudden drop in temperature accompanying these sounds, a coldness that seems to reach deep into the bones and cannot be attributed to drafts or ventilation systems. The solitary confinement units, in particular, have a reputation for being the epicenter of paranormal activity. These small, windowless cells, once designed to punish and isolate inmates, are now the source of some of the most disturbing reports. Former guards have recounted hearing anguished cries echoing through the units, sometimes so loud that they felt compelled to investigate, only to find the cells empty. Doors have reportedly slammed shut on their own, trapping staff momentarily or leaving them shaken by the sudden force. These events are often accompanied by an oppressive sense of dread, as if the emotions of long-ago prisoners still linger in the confined space. Many visitors describe an overwhelming feeling of being watched while inside the prison. Even when surrounded by groups of people, individuals often report the sensation of unseen eyes tracking their movements. Some claim to have felt a cold hand brush their shoulder, or a sudden pressure pressing down on their chest, further reinforcing the belief that the spirits of former inmates are still present, particularly in areas associated with suffering or punishment. Paranormal investigators have made numerous visits to Pontiac Correctional Center, drawn by the consistency of these reports. Audio recordings frequently capture faint whispers and unexplained noises, while temperature sensors pick up sudden cold spots in specific rooms. Cameras sometimes record shadowy figures or movements in areas where no one is physically present. While skeptics suggest many of these occurrences could be explained by structural settling, old wiring, or natural acoustics, the sheer number and consistency of reports over decades have made Pontiac a well-known location for those interested in the supernatural. Beyond the supernatural, the history of the prison itself contributes to its eerie reputation. During its operational years, Pontiac housed some of Illinois' most dangerous criminals, and the harsh conditions within the facility often led to extreme stress, violence, and even death. Executions, solitary confinement, and altercations between inmates left deep emotional scars, many of which some believe remain imprinted on the prison's environment. Walking through the halls, it is easy to imagine the tension, fear, and despair that permeated the space. And for many, these feelings are compounded by the unexplained activity that continues to this day. Even after its closure, Pontiac Correctional Center retains a powerful presence. The combination of its historical significance, architectural severity, and numerous reports of paranormal phenomena makes it a focal point for both historical and supernatural interest. Visitors who step inside often leave with a sense of unease, the lingering impression that the prison's past is not truly gone, and that the shadows of its inmates continue to move unseen within the stone and steel walls. Pontiac Correctional Center serves as a haunting reminder of the human cost of incarceration and the lasting impact of a place steeped in suffering. Whether the activity is purely psychological, residual energy, or truly paranormal, the accounts of flickering lights, dragging chains, and anguished cries paint a chilling picture of a prison that refuses to be forgotten. For those who dare to walk its corridors, the echoes of the past are impossible to ignore. And the presence of the unseen serves as a constant reminder that some prisons never truly empty their occupants, not even in death. The Illinois State Penitentiary in Chester, Illinois, though operational for only a brief period from 1829 to 1848, left a mark on the region's history that has endured far beyond its physical existence. Though the prison was demolished long ago, the site remains a place of quiet fascination and ease for those who visit. Many believe that the suffering endured by prisoners during its short existence has left lingering echoes, haunting the grounds long after the penitentiary itself vanished. The penitentiary was notorious for its brutal conditions. Records from the period describe overcrowded cells, minimal food, and harsh punishments designed to instill obedience and deter crime. Inmates faced long hours of labor under strict supervision, with little consideration for their welfare. Physical punishment was common, and solitary confinement was employed as a method of control and discipline. Even in its brief operation, The penitentiary gained a reputation for cruelty, leaving a legacy of human suffering that some believe still resonates in the atmosphere of the site. Visitors to the ruins often describe an immediate sense of heaviness upon arrival, as if the land itself carries the weight of past suffering. Many report hearing sounds that seem impossible in a place long abandoned. The clanging of chains is among the most frequently cited phenomena, echoing faintly across the grounds as if prisoners were still shackled and moving through invisible corridors. Some describe these sounds as intermittent, appearing suddenly and fading just as quickly, leaving an eerie silence in their wake. The auditory experiences are often accompanied by a palpable tension, a sense of being watched by unseen eyes. Another common report is the sound of a prison bell tolling at midnight, a haunting reminder of the institution's former authority. Although no bell exists on the site today, many claim to hear its deep, resonant tolls, sometimes counting out hours, sometimes striking in an irregular, unsettling rhythm. These sounds are often described as distant, yet unmistakably real, as if the penitentiary's long-dead guards are marking the passage of time in a place where time itself seems suspended. Witnesses often describe shivers or goosebumps upon hearing the bell, a reaction that suggests the phenomenon carries more than a simple psychological effect. Shadowy figures are occasionally reported as well, glimpsed from the corner of one's eye as they seem to move across the ruins. Some visitors describe fleeting shapes passing through the remnants of walls or crouching in the darkness of the old cell foundations. These visual phenomena, coupled with the auditory experiences, reinforce the sense that the past remains present, that the spirits of the penitentiary, as former inhabitants, continue to occupy the land in ways both subtle and unsettling. The sense of oppression is particularly strong near areas that would have housed cells or workspaces. Visitors often report a sudden drop in temperature, a chill that penetrates to the bone, and a heavy atmosphere that seems to press down with an inexplicable weight. Some feel the sensation of invisible hands brushing against them, a fleeting touch that startles and unnerves even the most skeptical observers. It is as if the intense emotions experienced by prisoners, fear, anger, despair, have imprinted themselves upon the location, creating an environment that retains echoes of past suffering. Local lore adds to the penitentiary's haunted reputation. Stories of prisoner mistreatment, failed escape attempts, and violent altercations have been passed down through generations. Some accounts speak of inmates who died in agony, with no family to mourn them, leaving their spirits restless. Others tell of guards who were driven to madness by the oppressive environment, their lingering energy adding another layer to the site's spectral activity. Though the institution existed for less than 2 decades, the intensity of its history seems to have left a disproportionately strong mark, as if the extreme conditions condensed years of pain into the very earth itself. Paranormal investigators have occasionally visited the site, documenting unusual occurrences with audio recorders, cameras, and temperature sensors. Many report capturing faint, indistinct whispers, sudden cold spots, or unexplained movements in areas devoid of other visitors. Though the ruins offer few physical structures to interact with, the combination of sound, sensation, and atmosphere provides a fertile environment for paranormal experiences. Whether these phenomena are the result of residual energy, psychological suggestion, or something more mysterious, the consistency of the accounts lends credibility to the belief that the penitentiary's past is still very much alive in some form. Even today, the site retains a unique allure. Its ruins, though minimal, allow visitors to imagine the structure as it once stood, walls lined with small cells, watchtowers observing over the grounds, and prisoners moving silently through corridors under strict supervision. The imagination, fueled by historical knowledge and personal experiences of the site's uncanny phenomena, creates a powerful, immersive sense of presence. Many who visit leave with stories of sudden chills, strange sounds, or fleeting shadows, all of which suggest that the echoes of the Illinois State Penitentiary have not been forgotten. The legacy of the Illinois State Penitentiary in Chester is one of suffering, discipline, and lingering mystery. Though it existed for only a short time, the intensity of the experiences within its walls seems to have left a permanent imprint on the land. From the clanging of chains to the tolling of an invisible bell, from sudden chills to fleeting shadows, the site serves as a haunting reminder that the past is never truly gone, and the presence of the unseen continues to whisper through the night, preserving the memory of a place where time, pain, and fear converged, and where echoes of the past remain forever trapped.
Cook County Jail in Chicago is not only one of the largest single-site jails in the world, but it is also one of the most notorious. Since its opening in the early 20th century, the facility has housed thousands of inmates, many of whom were involved in violent crimes or infamous cases that captured national attention. Over the decades, the jail has earned a reputation not only for its scale and security but for its dark, sometimes terrifying history. Walking through the halls of Cook County Jail, the atmosphere is immediately oppressive. The towering concrete walls and narrow, dimly lit corridors create a sense of confinement and isolation that mirrors the lives of those who have passed through its cells. Many who have spent time inside report feeling an almost constant sense of being watched. Guards describe moments when they sense a presence behind them, only to turn and see empty corridors or a flicker of movement that disappears before it can be identified. Visitors often report similar sensations, a subtle but unmistakable unease that lingers long after leaving the building. Disembodied voices are among the most common phenomena reported within the jail. Staff members have described hearing muffled shouting, whispers, and even anguished cries echoing through the empty cell blocks. These sounds often appear without warning, sometimes in the middle of a quiet night shift when the halls should be deserted. In some instances, officers have reported hearing their own names called out, or the sound of conversations occurring in cells that are long unoccupied. The unpredictability of these voices contributes to an ongoing sense that the jail is more than just a building, it is a space in which the past refuses to stay buried. Shadowy figures are another frequently reported occurrence. People working in the jail's older sections often describe seeing fleeting silhouettes dart across corridors or standing silently at the ends of hallways. These figures are rarely clear or fully formed, often glimpsed only from the corner of the eye, but their presence is unmistakable. Some officers claim to have seen the apparitions of former inmates, dressed in prison garb, moving as though performing the routines of life behind bars. Others report sudden apparitions standing still, watching silently before vanishing when approached. Such experiences have left many feeling both unnerved and deeply unsettled. Sudden drops in temperature are a hallmark of the jail's haunted reputation. Staff often report walking into specific areas, sometimes a single cell, a hallway, or a stairwell, where the air grows inexplicably cold, even during the height of summer. The chill can be brief, or it can linger, pressing against the body and amplifying the sense of fear or tension. These cold spots are often accompanied by other phenomena, the faint smell of decay, distant metallic clangs, or the inexplicable movement of objects. Together they create an environment in which the boundary between the living and the dead feels blurred. Historical events have contributed to the jail's haunted reputation. Over the decades, Cook County Jail has seen countless deaths, violent altercations, and intense emotional suffering. Riots, executions, and tragic incidents among inmates and staff have left deep emotional scars, and some believe that the energy from these events has imprinted itself upon the building. Solitary confinement cells, in particular, are said to be hotspots for paranormal activity, where the extreme isolation and despair of past prisoners have left lingering echoes of anguish and fear. Officers working in these areas sometimes report a heightened sense of unease, hearing sounds that seem to originate from empty cells or feeling the weight of unseen pressure. Paranormal investigators have taken a keen interest in Cook County Jail due to the consistency and volume of these reports. Audio recordings often capture faint, unexplained whispers or sudden bangs, while thermal imaging and electromagnetic sensors detect anomalies in areas otherwise devoid of people. Cameras have occasionally recorded shadowy forms moving along corridors or standing motionless in cell blocks. While skeptics argue that these phenomena could be explained by old infrastructure, Acoustics or psychological expectation, the recurring nature of these experiences across decades has fueled speculation that the jail is a hotspot for paranormal activity. Even visitors who enter the jail on guided historical tours have reported strange experiences. Some describe hearing footsteps behind them in empty hallways, seeing fleeting shadows along the walls, or feeling an overwhelming sense of dread as they walk through certain sections of the facility. Others report sudden chills or unexplained noises that seem to follow them from room to room. These accounts suggest that the jail's haunted reputation is not limited to those who work there regularly, but extends to anyone who steps inside, reinforcing the idea that the history of the facility is somehow embedded in its very walls. The combination of its immense size, its violent and tragic history, and its enduring reports of unexplained phenomena make Cook County Jail one of Illinois' most infamous haunted locations. Whether the experiences are the result of residual energy, active spirits, or the natural psychological impact of a building steeped in suffering, the accounts are consistent and compelling. The walls of the jail, once designed to contain the living, seem now to hold echoes of those who have passed, preserving fragments of memory, emotion, and unrest. Cook County Jail remains a powerful symbol of both historical and paranormal fascination. For those who walk its corridors, the experience can be unsettling, even terrifying. The disembodied voices, shadowy figures, and sudden cold spots all serve as reminders that some buildings retain more than just their physical presence. They carry the weight of history, emotion, and perhaps the lingering presence of those who never truly left. For decades, the jail has been a place where the past and the present intersect, and where the echoes of suffering continue to resonate, quietly but insistently, within the concrete and steel of its immense walls.
The Illinois Youth Center in St. Charles, Illinois, originally built as a reform school, carries a history both complex and unsettling. Established to house and rehabilitate troubled youth, the institution was intended to guide young lives back onto a constructive path. However, over the decades, reports of harsh conditions, strict discipline, and isolated confinement have marked the facility's past, leaving lingering impressions that some believe continue to manifest as paranormal activity. Today, the Illinois Youth Center is not only remembered for its role in juvenile reform, but also for the unexplained phenomena that many staff, visitors, and investigators have reported over the years. Walking through the hallways of the center, even today, one can feel an eerie stillness that seems out of place in what was once a bustling institution. The building, with its long corridors and austere architecture, evokes a sense of confinement, discipline, and structured authority. Even in daylight, the echoes of the past seem to linger in the empty hallways, giving the impression that the building itself remembers the years of emotional intensity, fear, and occasional suffering that occurred within its walls. One of the most frequently reported experiences at the Illinois Youth Center is the sound of children's laughter echoing through empty halls. Former staff and visitors alike have described moments when the faint giggles of children can be heard in corridors or common areas where no one is present. The laughter is often described as playful, yet faintly melancholic, as if carrying traces of both joy and sorrow. Some who hear it report feeling an immediate chill or an inexplicable sense of tension, as though the laughter is a remnant of past lives, replaying memories that refuse to fade. Alongside these auditory phenomena, shadowy figures are frequently observed. Witnesses have described fleeting shapes moving quickly along corridors or disappearing around corners before they can be fully identified. In some cases, the shadows appear to mimic the movements of children running or playing, while in others they take the form of indistinct silhouettes, almost human in shape but lacking any discernible features. These sightings often occur in areas that were historically dormitories, classrooms, or recreational spaces, suggesting a lingering connection to the building's former inhabitants. Many who have spent time in the facility also report a persistent sense of being watched, even in empty rooms or long-abandoned wings. Individuals describe a subtle but undeniable awareness of unseen eyes tracking their movements. This sensation can provoke feelings of discomfort, fear, or heightened alertness, reinforcing the perception that the center is imbued with the presence of its past occupants. Some staff have claimed that this sensation is most intense in areas where children were isolated or disciplined, as though the emotional energy from those experiences has left an imprint on the environment. Temperature anomalies are another hallmark of the center's reported paranormal activity. Sudden drops in temperature, often localized to specific rooms or hallways, are frequently reported by visitors and staff. These cold spots are sometimes accompanied by a feeling of heaviness or pressure, which adds to the sense of unease. While the building is old and drafts are possible, many who experience these phenomena insist that they are too sudden and specific to be explained solely by structural issues. The combination of cold air, emotional tension, and sensory anomalies creates an atmosphere that many describe as oppressive, even if no visible activity is occurring. Over the years, some visitors have reported objects moving on their own. Doors may swing open or shut without warning, and items that were carefully placed are sometimes found displaced. While some of these occurrences could be attributed to natural causes, the consistency of reports in areas with no obvious explanation has fueled speculation that the site is inhabited by more than mere echoes of memory. It is a cumulative effect of these experiences, the laughter, shadows, chills, and movements, that creates the enduring reputation of the Illinois Youth Center as a haunted location. Paranormal investigators have been drawn to the site to explore its haunted reputation. Using audio recorders, cameras, and environmental sensors, they have documented instances of unexplained sounds, cold spots, and occasional visual anomalies. Some investigators report capturing faint whispers or giggling in recordings, despite the building being empty during investigation sessions. Others have documented figures on camera that vanish upon closer inspection, further supporting the theory that the building retains residual energy from its past. While skeptics argue that many phenomena could be explained by acoustics, imagination, or the age of the building, the frequency and consistency of reports over decades lend weight to the claims of a paranormal presence. The history of the Illinois Youth Center contributes heavily to its haunted reputation. Its role as a reform school meant that young lives were subject to strict schedules, disciplinary measures, and sometimes harsh treatment. Emotional highs and lows, fear, hope, and despair were all amplified by the institution's structure, leaving intense impressions on both staff and residents. Many who experienced the center as formative years as a place of confinement and control may have left traces of emotional energy that continue to resonate. Visitors today sense this energy in subtle but unmistakable ways, particularly in areas that were historically populated by children. Even those who entered the building with no expectation of encountering anything unusual often report a heightened sense of awareness or discomfort. The combination of historical weight, sensory anomalies, and the reported presence of unseen figures creates an environment that feels alive in a way that is difficult to explain. The echoes of the past, whether supernatural or psychological, in ways that are simultaneously playful, eerie, and unsettling. The Illinois Youth Center in St. Charles stands as a place where history and haunting intersect. The laughter of unseen children, shadowy figures flitting along hallways, sudden cold spots, and the feeling of being watched all serve as reminders that the energy of the past is not entirely gone. Whether these experiences are the result of lingering emotional energy, spirits of former residents, or the natural psychological response to a building steeped in memory, they have created a lasting reputation that draws curiosity, fear, and fascination alike. The center, once a place of reform and discipline, continues to echo with the presence of its past, offering a haunting testament to the lives that once filled its halls. Joliet Correctional Center in Joliet, Illinois, operated for nearly a century and a half, from 1858 to 2002, and remains one of the most infamous prisons in the state. Unlike its neighbor, the Old Joliet Prison, this facility grew into a sprawling complex designed to house some of Illinois' most dangerous and notorious criminals. Its history is marked by overcrowding, harsh conditions, and violent incidents, And over the decades, many who worked or lived there have reported experiences that defy explanation. Today, the abandoned halls, crumbling cell blocks, and silent yards of Joliet Correctional Center have become the focus of paranormal investigations and haunted lore, as numerous reports suggest that the spirits of former inmates may still linger. The first impression of the Joliet Correctional Center is one of oppressive magnitude. Massive limestone walls, iron-barred windows, and looming watchtowers convey the sense that this was not a place of rehabilitation but of strict containment. Even in daylight, the shadowed corridors and long, narrow hallways evoke a feeling of confinement that is almost tangible. Visitors and paranormal enthusiasts frequently note that the architecture itself seems to amplify an underlying sense of dread, setting the stage for experiences that are difficult to explain through ordinary means. One of the most frequently reported phenomena within the facility is the sudden appearance of cold spots. These abrupt drops in temperature often occur in specific cell blocks or isolated areas of the prison. Visitors describe walking through a corridor and suddenly feeling as if a chill has cut through their very bones. Despite the season or outdoor weather conditions, many also report that these cold spots are accompanied by a heavy, suffocating atmosphere, as though unseen presences are nearby. The intensity of these cold areas is said to be strongest in locations where prisoners were confined for long periods, suggesting a connection between the lingering energy of human suffering and the unusual environmental changes. Unexplained noises are another hallmark of the Joliet Correctional Center's haunted reputation. Staff, former inmates, and modern visitors alike have reported hearing footsteps echoing down empty corridors, the clang of metal doors, and distant voices that carry across the desolate cell blocks. Some have heard the unmistakable sounds of chains dragging along the floor, even when no props or loose objects are present. Others have claimed to hear faint whispers, often sounding like urgent conversations or arguments, as if the past inmates are replaying their lives in the empty prison halls. The unpredictability and clarity of these sounds often leave witnesses shaken, reinforcing the idea that the prison retains the emotional imprint of its former occupants. Shadowy figures have been observed throughout the prison, frequently glimpsed out of the corner of the eye. Witnesses describe fleeting silhouettes darting along hallways, standing at the end of corridors, or disappearing into walls without explanation. These apparitions are most often seen in areas associated with punishment or confinement, including solitary cell blocks and long-abandoned exercise yards. Some accounts suggest that the figures are humanoid, wearing old prison garb, while others are less defined, appearing as dark shapes with no discernible features. The sightings often coincide with other phenomena, such as sudden drops in temperature or the sounds of unseen footsteps, creating a layered experience of fear and unease. The history of Joliet Correctional Center helps explain why so many believe it to be haunted. During its years of operation, the prison housed criminals responsible for some of Illinois' most serious offenses, including murder, robbery, and organized crime. Life inside was often harsh and unforgiving. Inmates endured long hours of labor, overcrowded conditions, and strict punishment for minor infractions. Riots, altercations, and executions occurred over the decades, leaving emotional scars not only on those incarcerated, but on the facility itself. Many believe that the intense fear, anger, and despair experienced by prisoners have left residual energy that manifests today as paranormal activity. Some paranormal investigators have explored Joliet Correctional Center extensively, seeking evidence of these lingering spirits. Using audio recorders, cameras, and environmental sensors, investigators have documented instances of unexplained sounds, temperature fluctuations, and visual anomalies. Some have recorded faint voices or whispers on audio devices, while others have captured shadowy figures moving across deserted corridors. Though skeptics argue that many of these experiences can be explained by the age of the building, its acoustics, or natural drafts, the consistency and repetition of reports over decades lend credibility to the belief that the prison is indeed haunted. Visitors who explore the prison report a pervasive sense of unease, even in areas that appear empty or structurally unsafe. Many describe the sensation of being watched, as though unseen eyes follow their every move. Some report brief touches or brushes against their shoulders, moments that cause an immediate jolt of fear. Others recount a general feeling of oppression, a heaviness that seems to hang in the air and is difficult to shake. For those attuned to the history of the site, these experiences are often interpreted as the lingering presence of inmates who never found peace after their deaths or long periods of confinement. Even after its closure in 2002, Joliet Correctional Center remains a magnet for those fascinated by the paranormal. The combination of its historical significance, architectural severity, and consistent reports of unexplained phenomena makes it a compelling site for both ghost hunters and casual visitors seeking an encounter with the unknown. Some come to explore its dark corridors and abandoned cell blocks, hoping to catch a glimpse of a shadow or hear a ghostly whisper, while others visit simply to absorb the palpable history and imagine the lives that were lived in, lost within its walls. In the end, Joliet Correctional Center is more than just an abandoned prison. It is a repository of memory, emotion, and, some believe, lingering spirits. The unexplained noises, cold spots, and shadowy figures that continue to be reported are reminders that the past has never truly gone. The building's walls, designed to contain the living, now seem to hold echoes of the dead. Those who enter its hallways leave with more than memories. They carry the awareness that some energies never rest, and that the spirits of former inmates may continue to roam the grounds, unable or unwilling to find peace. Shawnee Correctional Center, located in Vienna, southern Illinois, has long been recognized not only for its role as a maximum security prison, but also for the eerie reports that have emerged from within its walls. Over the decades, staff and visitors have shared accounts of unexplained occurrences, ranging from strange noises to sudden physical sensations, contributing to the prison's reputation as a place where the past refuses to stay buried. Many believe that the unsettling activity is tied to the prison's violent history, where countless inmates experienced fear, anger, and despair, leaving an indelible mark on the environment. The prison's exterior immediately conveys the weight of its purpose. Tall, concrete walls, barbed wire fencing, and watchtowers standing like silent sentinels create a sense of authority and isolation. For those approaching Shawnee Correctional Center for the first time, there is a palpable feeling of confinement that extends beyond the obvious security measures. Inside, the long, narrow corridors, dimly lit cell blocks, and heavy metal doors evoke an atmosphere that seems almost designed to contain more than just the bodies of inmates. It contains the energy of human emotion, intense and lingering, capable of being sensed by those who enter. One of the most commonly reported phenomena at Shawnee is the sound of footsteps echoing through empty hallways. Guards working night shifts often report hearing the distinct pace of someone walking, even in sections of the prison where no one is present. Sometimes the footsteps are slow and deliberate, other times hurried, as though someone is moving with purpose or in panic. These auditory experiences are particularly unsettling because they occur without any visible source. Staff have recounted moments when they follow the sounds, only to find empty corridors, locked cells, or areas completely devoid of activity. The unexplained nature of these footsteps has contributed to a widespread belief that the prison is haunted by restless spirits. Doors slamming on their own is another frequent occurrence at Shawnee. Heavy metal doors, designed to remain securely in place, have reportedly been observed swinging open or shutting with significant force, without any mechanical or human cause. These events often happen suddenly, startling anyone nearby, and are sometimes accompanied by other sensations, such as a sudden chill or a feeling of pressure in the air. Many staff members have noted that these occurrences seem concentrated in areas associated with past violence or long-term confinement, such as the older cell blocks and solitary units, suggesting a link between the history of the prison and its current paranormal activity. Temperature fluctuations are also commonly reported. Certain areas of the facility, particularly those with older infrastructure, are known for sudden drops in temperature. These cold spots are sometimes described as intense and localized, creating an immediate sense of discomfort or unease. Visitors and staff alike have described feeling a chill that penetrates clothing and bone, often accompanied by a sense of being watched. While some explanations point to drafts or old ventilation systems, the specific locations and consistency of the experiences have led many to believe that something more supernatural is at work. Shadowy figures are another hallmark of Shawnee Correctional Center's haunted reputation. Witnesses describe seeing dark silhouettes moving in the periphery of their vision, often disappearing when directly observed. These figures are sometimes humanoid, appearing as if they are former inmates, while other sightings are less defined, resembling shifting shadows or mist. Such encounters are often fleeting but leave a lasting impression, reinforcing the idea that the prison remains a space where the energy of the past continues to manifest. The violent and intense history of Shawnee Correctional Center is widely believed to contribute to its paranormal activity. Over the decades, the prison has housed some of the state's most dangerous criminals, and life inside has often been marked by tension, fear, and aggression. Altercations between inmates, fights with guards, and disciplinary measures were commonplace, leaving behind emotional and psychological scars. Many believe that these intense emotions do not simply vanish but become imprinted on the environment, creating residual energy that can manifest as ghostly activity. The prison's architecture, tight hallways, confined cells, and reinforced doors may amplify this energy, creating the perfect setting for experiences that feel both real and unnerving. Paranormal investigators have frequently visited Shawnee to document and explore these reports. Using audio recorders, cameras, and environmental sensors, they have captured instances of unexplained sounds, shadowy movements, and sudden cold spots. Some have even reported faint whispers, disembodied voices, or the impression of someone standing just outside the camera's view. While skeptics argue that structural issues, acoustic anomalies, or psychological suggestion may explain some experiences, the volume and consistency of reports over the years make a compelling case for the prison's haunted reputation. Even outside of official investigations, visitors and staff report a pervasive sense of unease in certain areas of the prison. Some describe feeling watched, despite the absence of other people, or noticing fleeting sensations of movement nearby. Others recount feeling a weight on their chest, a sudden drop in energy, or a strange heaviness in the air. These experiences, though intangible, reinforce the perception that Shawnee Correctional Center is more than a building. It is a place where the echoes of past suffering remain embedded in the walls, hallways, and cell blocks. The legend of Shawnee Correctional Center serves as a chilling reminder that the past can leave a lasting impression on a physical space. From the echoing footsteps to the doors that swing shut on their own, from sudden cold spots to shadowy figures glimpsed in the corners, the prison's haunted reputation continues to grow. Many who enter do so with curiosity or professional duty, yet they often leave with a deep sense of the unseen, an awareness that some energy from the past refuses to remain silent. For those willing to walk the dim corridors and explore the abandoned spaces, Shawnee Correctional Center offers a glimpse into the intersection of history, human suffering, and the unexplained. A place where the spirits of the past may continue to make their presence known. Western Illinois Correctional Center, located in Mount Sterling, Illinois, has been operational since 1980 and has earned a reputation not only for its role in housing inmates, but also for the unsettling paranormal activity reported within its walls. Over the decades, staff and inmates alike have shared experiences that defy easy explanation, including sudden temperature drops, disembodied voices, and shadowy figures moving in areas that should be empty. While the prison is relatively modern compared to some of Illinois' older facilities, the intensity of human emotion, conflict, and unrest that occurs within its walls appears to have left a lingering mark, creating a location that many describe as haunted. Upon entering the prison, the atmosphere is immediately heavy and imposing. The stark concrete corridors, metal doors, and institutional lighting give the facility a cold and unyielding feel. Even in areas with natural light, the hallways often feel claustrophobic, amplified by the echo of footsteps and the hum of fluorescent lights. For those who work or visit regularly, this environment can intensify the sense of isolation, making the occasional strange occurrence feel all the more alarming. Many staff members report that certain wings of the prison feel different from others, heavier, colder, or unnervingly silent, creating an underlying tension that is difficult to ignore. One of the most commonly reported phenomena is the sound of disembodied voices. Inmates and correctional officers alike have recounted hearing conversations that seem to come from nowhere, whispers that echo through empty corridors, and shouts that vanish as suddenly as they appear. Some describe the voices as familiar, sounding like former inmates or guards, while others report unintelligible murmurs that send chills down their spines. These auditory experiences often occur at night, during quiet hours, or in areas of the facility where activity should be minimal, lending them an air of undeniable eeriness. Unexplained shadows are another frequent occurrence at Western Illinois Correctional Center. Staff members have seen figures darting across corridors, standing at the end of hallways, or disappearing behind walls with no logical source. In some cases, these shadows appear human, resembling inmates or guards, moving silently in the distance. In other instances, they are less defined, taking on an amorphous or fleeting quality that makes them almost impossible to capture on camera. Witnesses report that these shadowy figures seem to have a presence, a weight that is felt, even without direct observation, as though they are not just visual anomalies, but manifestations of energy or emotion. Sudden drops in temperature are another hallmark of the prison's paranormal activity. Certain cell blocks or hallways are known to grow inexplicably cold, often accompanied by a feeling of pressure or heaviness in the air. Staff describe the chill as penetrating, reaching through clothing and making them shiver despite the ambient temperature outside. These cold spots are sometimes accompanied by the other phenomena, such as whispers or shadows, and often occur in the same locations repeatedly, suggesting a persistent source of unexplained energy. Inmates report that these moments are unsettling, particularly during late-night hours when the prison is otherwise quiet. The violent and tense history of the prison is often cited as a possible explanation for these occurrences. Although Western Illinois Correctional Center is relatively modern, it has seen its share of unrest, fights, and high-security incidents. The combination of extreme emotions, anger, fear, frustration, and despair creates an environment ripe for psychological and perhaps supernatural phenomena. Many who work in the facility believe that the energy generated by these intense moments has lingered, embedding itself in the building and producing experiences that are difficult to rationalize. Staff members also report unusual physical sensations. Some have felt the brush of an invisible hand, the pressing weight of an unseen presence, or a sudden sense of unease in certain rooms. These experiences often accompany other activity, such as unexplained noises or shadows, and reinforce the belief that the prison is not just a place of confinement, but also a space where past events and emotions continue to manifest. For inmates, these sensations can add to the psychological stress of incarceration, making the environment feel even more oppressive. Paranormal investigators have visited Western Illinois Correctional Center to explore its reputation. Using audio recorders, cameras, and environmental sensors, they have documented a variety of unexplained phenomena. Some investigators have captured faint whispers or unusual sounds, while others have observed anomalies in temperature readings or visual recordings of shadowy forms. While skeptics suggest that structural factors, acoustics, or psychological expectation may explain some reports, the consistency and frequency of experiences over decades have cemented the prison's place in Illinois' list of haunted locations. Even beyond official investigations, visitors report a distinct sense of unease throughout the facility. The combination of cold spots, strange sounds, and fleeting shadows creates an atmosphere where the line between the living and the unseen feels blurred. Some staff have described feeling followed down corridors, watched from cell block corners, or experiencing an unexplainable heaviness that lifts only after leaving the area. For those attuned to the prison's history, these experiences reinforce the idea that the energy of past events refuses to stay confined, continuing to echo through the hallways and cell blocks. Western Illinois Correctional Center is a place where history, human emotion, and unexplained phenomena intersect. The disembodied voices, shadowy figures, and sudden temperature drops reported over the years serve as reminders that some spaces retain the weight of past experiences. Whether the activity is the result of residual energy, spirits of former inmates, or psychological perception, the accounts are compelling and consistent, painting a picture of a prison where the past refuses to remain silent. For those who walk its corridors, the facility is more than a correctional center. It is a haunting testament to the lingering presence of human emotion, unrest, and perhaps the restless spirits of those who have lived, suffered, and left their mark within its walls. Hill Correctional Center, located in Galesburg, Illinois, has been operational since 1983, serving as a medium-security facility that houses inmates from across the state. While relatively modern compared to some of Illinois' older correctional institutions, Hill Correctional Center has nonetheless witnessed its share of violent incidents, confrontations, and tense situations. Over the years, staff, inmates, and occasional visitors have reported a range of experiences that suggest the prison may be haunted. Unexplained noises, fleeting shadows, and an ever-present sense of being watched have led many to believe that the spirits of former inmates continue to linger, making the prison a place where the past refuses to stay silent. The architecture of Hill Correctional Center immediately conveys a sense of control and confinement. Long, narrow corridors, metal doors, and stark fluorescent lighting dominate the interior, creating an atmosphere that is both utilitarian and oppressive. Even during the day, the facility can feel heavy, as though the weight of its history presses down on those who walk its hallways. Many staff members report that certain areas, particularly older cell blocks and less frequented wings, feel different from the rest of the facility, heavier, colder, and charged with an unexplainable tension that seems to linger in the air. One of the most common reports of paranormal activity at Hill Correctional Center is the occurrence of unexplained noises. Staff members have described hearing footsteps echoing down empty corridors, voices whispering in areas where no one is present, and the sudden clanging of doors or metal objects. Inmates, too, have reported these phenomena, often describing the sounds as coming from cell blocks or rooms that have long been vacant. Some witnesses describe the voices as urgent or distressed, as if replaying moments of fear, anger, or despair from the prison's past. These auditory experiences often happen without warning, creating moments of unease that can last long after the sounds have ceased. Sightings of shadowy figures are another hallmark of Hill Correctional Center's haunted reputation. Observers frequently report glimpsing silhouettes moving just out of the corner of their eyes or standing at the ends of hallways before vanishing without explanation. In some cases, the figures appear human, resembling former inmates dressed in prison garb, while in others, they are more amorphous, taking on shifting or indistinct shapes. These visual phenomena often coincide with other experiences, such as cold spots or unexplained sounds, suggesting a connection between the various forms of paranormal activity reported within the facility. Temperature anomalies are commonly associated with these experiences. Staff members have described sudden drops in temperature in certain areas of the prison, often accompanied by the sense that an unseen presence is nearby. The chill can be intense, penetrating clothing and causing immediate discomfort. Some report a feeling of heaviness in the air or pressure on their chest, heightening the sense of unease. These cold spots often occur in locations where violent incidents, solitary confinement, or long-term housing of inmates took place, leading some to believe that the residual energy of human emotion has left a lasting imprint on the building. The history of Hill Correctional Center provides context for these reported phenomena. Since its opening, the facility has seen numerous incidents involving inmate violence, staff confrontations, and periods of unrest. The combination of fear, Anger and tension inherent in these events contributes to the belief that the energy generated by such intense human emotions may remain within the walls of the prison. For many, it is not surprising that a place designed to confine and control individuals has become a site where unexplained phenomena manifest. The environment itself, with its locked doors, narrow corridors, and isolated spaces, may serve to amplify any lingering energy or presence. Staff members have also reported physical sensations that defy explanation. Some describe the feeling of being watched, even when alone. A subtle but persistent awareness that someone or something is present. Others have felt sudden touches or the sensation of something brushing against them in empty corridors. These experiences, while fleeting, are often intense enough to leave a lasting impression, reinforcing the idea that the prison is more than just a facility for incarceration. It's a place where the past and present coexist in ways that are both unsettling and mysterious. Paranormal investigators have shown interest in Hill Correctional Center due to the consistency of reports over time. Using audio recorders, cameras, and environmental sensors, investigators have documented unexplained sounds, temperature changes, and occasional visual anomalies. Some recordings capture faint whispers or footsteps in empty corridors, while camera footage has occasionally revealed shadowy forms that vanish when approached. While skeptics argue that many of these events could be explained by structural issues, acoustics, or psychological suggestion, the repeated experiences of staff and visitors lend credibility to claims of paranormal activity. Even casual visitors to the prison often report an immediate sense of unease. The combination of unexplained noises, fleeting shadows, and sudden chills can make the environment feel alive in a way that is difficult to describe. Some report a heavy sense of oppression or a lingering fear that seems to intensify in areas historically associated with punishment or isolation. For those familiar with the prison's history, these sensations often reinforce the perception that Hill Correctional Center is a place where the past refuses to remain buried. Hill Correctional Center serves as a striking example of how the energy of human experience, both positive and negative, can linger in a location long after events have passed. The unexplained noises, shadowy figures, and sudden temperature drops reported over the years suggest that the spirits of former inmates, or perhaps the emotional residue of their time in confinement, continue to occupy the facility in ways that remain perceptible to the living. Whether viewed as supernatural phenomena, psychological reactions, or the echoes of intense human emotion, these reports make Hill Correctional Center one of Illinois' most intriguing and chilling haunted sites. For those who traverse its corridors, the facility is not only a place of confinement, but a space where history, human emotion, and the unexplained converge, leaving a lasting impression on anyone who dares to enter. Western Illinois Regional Jail in Carthage, Illinois, has long been recognized not only as a facility for containing inmates, but also as a site where the unexplained seems to persist. Since its opening, staff and occasional visitors have reported a variety of paranormal phenomena, ranging from eerie sounds to sudden temperature fluctuations and shadowy apparitions. While the building itself may appear modern and well-maintained, the experiences recounted by those who spend time within its walls suggest that the facility carries more than just the weight of law and order. Many believe that the jail's history of overcrowding, unrest, and intense emotional stress has left an imprint that continues to manifest in the form of unexplained activity. The physical environment of the jail contributes significantly to its haunting reputation. Long, narrow corridors lined with metal doors, high ceilings, and stark lighting create an atmosphere of confinement and tension. Even during the day, the echo of footsteps and the hum of fluorescent lights add to a sense of unease that is difficult to ignore. Staff members often report that certain wings feel different from others, with some areas exhibiting a heavier, almost tangible sense of oppression. These sensations are frequently associated with parts of the jail that historically housed larger numbers of inmates or saw the most disciplinary incidents, suggesting a link between past events and present experiences. One of the most commonly reported phenomena at Western Illinois Regional Jail is hearing disembodied voices. Guards on night shifts frequently describe hearing whispers, murmurs, or even full conversations echoing through empty hallways. Some voices seem urgent or distressed, while others appear more neutral, as if the sound of normal daily activity is being replayed in an empty building. In many cases, the sounds are so clear that staff instinctively respond or look for their source, only to find that the hallways are empty. Inmates have reported similar experiences, often describing voices that come from the very cells where previous conflicts or altercations occurred. Shadowy figures are another frequent occurrence within the jail. Witnesses often report seeing dark silhouettes moving along corridors or appearing at the end of hallways, only to vanish when approached. These shadows are sometimes humanoid in shape, resembling former inmates or staff, while in other cases they appear less distinct, taking the form of vague, shifting shapes. The fleeting nature of these sightings makes them difficult to capture on camera, but their repeated occurrence has left a lasting impression on those who witness them. Many believe that these figures are manifestations of the stress, fear, or anger that once permeated the building. Temperature anomalies are also a hallmark of the jail's paranormal activity. Staff members frequently report sudden drops in temperature in specific areas, often accompanied by a sensation of heaviness or the feeling that someone or something is nearby. These cold spots are sometimes intense enough to penetrate clothing and cause shivering, and they often occur in areas associated with previous unrest or high tension among inmates. While some attribute these fluctuations to the building's ventilation or structural issues, the specificity and repetition of the experiences suggests something beyond ordinary explanation. The history of the jail provides context for these reported phenomena. Overcrowding has been a persistent issue, leading to tense conditions among inmates and increased stress for staff. Conflicts, altercations, and disciplinary actions were common, creating an environment charged with intense human emotion. Many believe that these emotions, particularly fear and anger, leave lingering traces that can manifest as paranormal activity. The repetitive and high-stress nature of the jail's daily operations may have amplified these residual energies, allowing them to persist long after the incidents themselves. Physical sensations beyond auditory or visual phenomena are also reported. Some staff describe feeling as though they are being watched, even when alone in empty corridors. Others report sudden pressure on their chest, an invisible brush against their body, or an overwhelming sense of unease in particular areas. These experiences are often accompanied by other occurrences, such as cold spots, footsteps, or shadows, creating a layered and immersive sensation of the unexplained. Inmates, too, have reported moments of fear or anxiety that seem unlinked to immediate circumstances, suggesting that the environment itself contributes to the perception of a haunting presence. Paranormal investigators have taken an interest in Western Illinois Regional Jail due to the consistency and volume of these reports. Using cameras, audio recorders, and environmental sensors, they have documented instances of unexplained sounds, cold spots, and visual anomalies. Some recordings capture faint whispers or footsteps in otherwise empty corridors, while thermal imaging sometimes reveals shapes or movements that cannot be otherwise explained. Although skeptics point to acoustics, drafts, or the power of suggestion as potential explanations, the persistence and similarity of experiences over decades have cemented the jail's reputation as a location where the unexplained is commonplace. Even casual visitors often describe an immediate sense of unease upon entering the facility. The combination of shadowy figures, sudden chills, and unexplained sounds creates an atmosphere that feels alive in an almost tangible way. Many report that certain areas feel oppressive, heavy, or charged, particularly in parts of the building associated with high tension, solitary confinement, or disciplinary incidents. This sensory experience, coupled with the jail's history, reinforces the perception that Western Illinois Regional Jail is more than just a building. It is a space where the past continues to echo in the present. The legacy of Western Illinois Regional Jail serves as a chilling reminder that places associated with intense human emotion can retain traces of the experiences that occurred within them. The disembodied voices, shadowy figures, and sudden temperature drops reported by staff, inmates, and visitors suggest that some energy from the past continues to linger, creating an environment that is both unsettling and fascinating. Whether viewed as supernatural manifestations, psychological impressions, or a combination of both, the experiences within the jail highlight the way human history, emotion, and the unexplained can converge in a single location. For those who walk its corridors today, Western Illinois Regional Jail is not merely a facility for incarceration. It is a place where the echoes of the past remain alive, offering a haunting glimpse into the lives and emotions that continue to inhabit the space long after the doors have closed. DuQuoin Correctional Center, located in DuQuoin, Illinois, has been operational since 1987, serving as a medium-security facility that houses a diverse population of inmates. Though relatively modern compared to some of Illinois' older prisons, DuQuoin has seen its share of violent incidents, riots, and high-tension situations. Over the years, staff, inmates, and occasional visitors have reported a range of unsettling phenomena that suggest the prison may be haunted. Unexplained noises, shadowy figures, and the persistent sensation of being watched have all contributed to the facility's reputation as a place where the past refuses to remain silent. Upon entering DuQuoin Correctional Center, the first impression is one of stark institutional control. Long, narrow hallways, lined with heavy metal doors and fluorescent lighting, create an oppressive atmosphere that immediately communicates confinement. Even during the day, the echo of footsteps and the hum of mechanical ventilation amplify a sense of isolation. Staff members often report that certain areas feel noticeably different from others, with some wings carrying a heavier, almost tangible sense of unease. These sensations are particularly strong in older sections of the facility, where violent incidents and high-stress events occurred more frequently. One of the most commonly reported experiences within the prison is the sound of unexplained noises. Staff have recounted hearing footsteps echoing through empty corridors, doors slamming shut on their own, and distant clanging sounds that seem to have no source. Inmates often report similar occurrences, describing the sudden noises as if someone were moving or working in areas that should be empty. Whispers and muffled conversations are also reported, sometimes occurring in solitary cells or isolated wings, creating the unnerving sensation that someone or something is observing or replaying moments from the past. Shadowy figures are another frequent phenomenon at DuQuoin Correctional Center. Witnesses describe fleeting silhouettes moving at the edge of their vision, disappearing when approached, or standing at the end of corridors before vanishing entirely. Some of these shadows appear distinctly human, resembling former inmates in prison attire, while others are more amorphous, appearing as dark shapes with shifting outlines. These sightings often coincide with other unusual activity, such as cold spots or unexplained sounds, reinforcing the perception that the prison is not only a physical structure, but a space imbued with residual energy. Temperature fluctuations are commonly reported as well. Certain areas of the prison, particularly older cell blocks and disciplinary wings, are known for sudden, localized drops in temperature. Staff describe the chills as intense and penetrating, sometimes accompanied by a sense of heaviness or pressure in the air. These cold spots often occur in conjunction with other paranormal activity, including the sounds of footsteps or shadowy figures, creating a multisensory experience that many find difficult to explain. Inmates report that these moments heighten a sense of tension or fear, making already oppressive areas feel even more unsettling. The history of DuQuoin Correctional Center provides context for the reported phenomena. Over the years, the facility has experienced violent incidents ranging from inmate fights to altercations with staff. These events often occurred in confined spaces under intense emotional pressure, leaving impressions of fear, anger, and desperation. Many believe that these emotions may have left a lingering imprint on the prison itself, creating conditions conducive to paranormal activity. The intensity of human emotion, combined with the architecture designed to restrict movement and enforce control, may amplify these residual energies, producing the unsettling experiences reported by those within the facility. Staff members have also reported unusual physical sensations that accompany the auditory and visual phenomena. Some describe feeling as if they are being watched, even in areas where no one else is present. Others report the sensation of an invisible presence brushing against them or a sudden pressure on their chest, creating an immediate and often intense reaction of fear or unease. These experiences frequently coincide with areas of historical unrest or confinement, suggesting a possible link between the physical environment and the residual energy of past events. Paranormal investigators have taken a keen interest in DuQuoin Correctional Center. Due to the consistency and frequency of these reports, using audio recorders, cameras, and environmental sensors, investigators have documented unexplained sounds, visual anomalies, and sudden temperature changes. Audio recordings often capture faint whispers or footsteps, while thermal imaging has revealed shapes or movements that cannot be readily explained, although skeptics may attribute some experiences to structural quirks, acoustics, or psychological suggestion. The regularity of the reported phenomena lends credibility to the notion that the prison harbors more than just the memories of its living occupants. Even casual visitors often report a sense of unease when walking the halls of DuQuoin Correctional Center. The combination of shadowy figures, sudden chills, and inexplicable noises creates an environment that feels alive in a way that is difficult to define. Many note that certain areas, particularly those associated with past violence or isolation, feel charged, as though the emotions and energy of past inmates linger. The building itself, designed to contain and control, seems to amplify these sensations, making them unavoidable for those sensitive to the atmosphere. DuQuoin Correctional Center stands as a striking example of how intense human emotion and historical events can leave an enduring mark on a location. The unexplained noises, shadowy figures, and sudden temperature drops reported over the years suggest that the spirits of former inmates or the residual energy of their experiences continue to occupy the prison in ways that are perceptible to the living, whether viewed as supernatural manifestations, psychological impressions, or a combination of both. The accounts present a compelling picture of a facility where the past continues to assert its presence. For those who traverse its corridors, DuQuoin Correctional Center is more than a correctional facility. It is a space where history, human emotion, and the unexplained converge, leaving an indelible impression on anyone who enters. Decatur Correctional Center, located in Decatur, Illinois, has been operational since 1983, serving as a medium-security facility that houses a diverse population of inmates. Over the decades, the prison has seen its share of violent incidents, disputes between inmates, and periods of heightened tension, leaving a legacy of unrest and strong emotions. Beyond the day-to-day challenges of maintaining order, staff and inmates have reported a range of unusual and unexplained phenomena, including disembodied voices, shadowy figures, and sudden drops in temperature. These experiences have contributed to Decatur Correctional Center as growing reputation as a site where the past lingers in ways that are both unsettling and difficult to explain. The architecture and layout of Decatur Correctional Center create an atmosphere that is both functional and imposing. Long corridors lined with metal doors, narrow hallways, and stark fluorescent lighting dominate the interior, emphasizing control and confinement. Even in areas bathed in natural light, the building carries a heavy, oppressive feel. Many staff members report that certain wings of the prison seem different from others, with some areas feeling noticeably colder, heavier, or charged with a sense of unease. These sensations are often strongest in older or more isolated sections, particularly those that historically housed the most challenging inmates or witnessed violent incidents. Auditory phenomena are among the most frequently reported experiences at Decatur Correctional Center. Staff working night shifts often describe hearing footsteps echoing through empty corridors, doors opening or closing with no apparent cause, and whispers or murmurs that seem to emanate from nowhere. Inmates have also reported hearing voices in areas where no other person is present, often describing the sounds as urgent or distressed, as if the echoes of past conflicts are replaying through the building. The unpredictability of these noises, combined with their clarity, makes them particularly unsettling, leaving those who hear them questioning what is real and what is imagined. Shadowy figures are another common occurrence within the prison. Witnesses describe seeing fleeting silhouettes at the edge of their vision, figures standing at the ends of hallways, or forms that vanish when approached. Some of these apparitions appear distinctly human, resembling past inmates or staff, while others are amorphous, dark shapes that shift and change as they move. These sightings often coincide with other unusual phenomena, such as sudden temperature drops or disembodied sounds, creating an experience that is layered and difficult to dismiss. Inmates have reported glimpsing these figures in their cell blocks, while staff have encountered them in administrative areas, suggesting that the phenomena are not limited to one particular part of the facility. Temperature anomalies are another hallmark of Decatur Correctional Center's reported paranormal activity. Sudden localized drops in temperature have been experienced in various wings, often accompanied by a feeling of heaviness or the sensation of an unseen presence nearby. The chill can be intense enough to cause immediate discomfort and a sense of foreboding. Many reports place these cold spots in areas associated with isolation or prior incidents of unrest, leading some to believe that the energy of past events has imprinted itself on the building, creating conditions for continued paranormal activity. The history of Decatur Correctional Center offers context for these phenomena. Over the years, the prison has seen fights between inmates, altercations with staff, and periods of unrest that left emotional and physical scars. The intense emotions experienced during these incidents, fear, anger, frustration, and despair may have left residual energy within the walls, hallways, and cell blocks. Many who have spent time in the facility believe that this energy continues to manifest, creating experiences that are perceived as both auditory and visual phenomena. The building, designed to confine and control, may amplify these energies, making the sensations more tangible and persistent for those inside. Staff members have reported physical sensations that accompany the other paranormal experiences. Some describe feeling as though they are being watched, even in empty corridors or rooms, while others have felt sudden touches or pressure on their bodies with no apparent source. These experiences are often brief but intense, reinforcing the belief that the prison is not merely a physical structure, but a space where past events and emotional imprints continue to exert influence. Inmates to report moments of unease or inexplicable fear, particularly in older cell blocks, solitary units, or areas with a history of conflict. Paranormal investigators have visited Decatur Correctional Center to explore its reputation, using cameras, audio equipment, and environmental sensors to document unusual activity. Some recordings have captured faint whispers, footsteps, or other unexplained sounds, while video footage occasionally reveals shadowy forms that vanish when approached. Thermal imaging sometimes identifies areas of rapid temperature fluctuation with no clear explanation, although skeptics attribute some of these occurrences to structural quirks, psychological suggestion, or acoustics. The sheer volume and consistency of reports over decades suggest that something more may be at work. Even casual visitors to Decatur Correctional Center often report a sense of unease when walking through the corridors. The combination of cold spots, fleeting shadows, and unexplained noises creates an atmosphere that feels alive, almost sentient. Some areas feel heavy or charged, particularly those associated with past violent events or isolation, heightening the perception that the prison's history continues to affect the present. For those attuned to the building's past, these experiences suggest that the energy of former inmates and historical incidents refuses to fade, lingering as an unseen presence throughout the facility. Decatur Correctional Center stands as a stark example of how human emotion, history, and environment can converge to create experiences that defy easy explanation. The disembodied voices, shadowy figures, and sudden temperature drops reported over the years suggest that the prison may retain traces of the past, whether as residual energy, spirits, or psychological impressions of those who enter its walls. For those who traverse the halls today, Decatur Correctional Center is more than a correctional facility. It is a place where history, unrest, and the unexplained intersect, leaving a lasting impression on anyone who steps inside. Logan Correctional Center, located in Lincoln, Illinois, has been operational since 2001 and serves as a medium-security facility housing a diverse population of inmates. Despite being relatively modern, the prison has already developed a reputation for unexplained and unsettling phenomena. Over the years, staff and inmates have reported a wide range of paranormal experiences, including disembodied voices, shadowy figures, and sudden drops in temperature. Many believe these occurrences are linked to the prison's history of violent incidents, unrest, and the intense emotions generated within its walls, suggesting that the facility may carry residual energy from the experiences of its occupants. The architecture of Logan Correctional Center contributes significantly to its eerie atmosphere. Long corridors, lined with metal doors and reinforced walls, stretch into dimly lit wings. The fluorescent lights hum steadily overhead, creating an oppressive, mechanical environment. Even during daylight hours, the prison can feel claustrophobic, with the echoes of footsteps and the repetitive patterns of doors and cell blocks, amplifying a sense of confinement. Staff members often report that certain areas feel noticeably different, colder, heavier, or charged with tension, particularly the wings that have historically housed violent or high-risk inmates. These areas are often the settings for the majority of reported paranormal activity. Unexplained noises are among the most commonly reported phenomena at Logan Correctional Center. Correctional officers and staff frequently describe hearing footsteps in empty hallways, the clang of metal doors, and distant, indistinct voices that seem to come from nowhere. Inmates have also reported hearing murmurs or whispers in areas where no one else is present, sometimes echoing the sounds of past conflicts or conversations. These auditory experiences often occur without warning, creating moments of unease and tension that can last long after the noises have ceased. The unpredictability and clarity of the sounds make them particularly unsettling, leading many to believe that the past is replaying itself through the building. Shadowy figures are another hallmark of Logan Correctional Center's paranormal activity. Witnesses describe seeing dark silhouettes moving at the edges of their vision, standing at the ends of corridors, or disappearing behind walls without explanation. Some of these figures appear distinctly human, resembling former inmates or staff members, while others are less defined, taking the form of amorphous, shifting shadows. These apparitions are often accompanied by other phenomena, such as cold spots or disembodied sounds, creating layered experiences that are difficult to dismiss as coincidence. Inmates and staff alike report feeling a presence when these sightings occur, suggesting that the shadows are more than visual illusions. Temperature anomalies are commonly experienced throughout the prison. Sudden, localized drops in temperature are frequently reported, often accompanied by a sensation of heaviness or pressure in the air. Staff describe chills that penetrate clothing and seem to cling to the body, while inmates report feeling a sudden unease in specific areas. These cold spots are often associated with wings that have seen violent incidents or periods of high tension, reinforcing the perception that the prison's history continues to exert influence over the present. Many believe that these fluctuations are the result of residual energy left behind by intense human emotion. The history of Logan Correctional Center provides context for the reported activity. Though the facility is comparatively new, it has witnessed numerous violent incidents, altercations between inmates, and periods of unrest. The intensity of emotions during these events, fear, anger, frustration, and despair, may leave residual traces within the structure of the building itself. Staff and inmates alike have noted that areas associated with past conflicts often feel charged or oppressive, suggesting a link between human emotion and the manifestations of paranormal activity. The very design of the facility, with its long corridors, isolation units, and reinforced doors, may amplify these energies, making them more perceptible to those inside. Physical sensations often accompany the auditory and visual phenomena reported at Logan Correctional Center. Many staff describe feeling as if they are being watched, even when alone in empty corridors. Some report brief touches, a sudden brush against their body, or a sensation of weight pressing down, often in areas where no one else is present. Inmates have reported similar experiences, sometimes describing fleeting feelings of fear or panic that appear without immediate cause. These physical impressions reinforce the belief that the prison is more than just a structure for containment. It is a space where residual energies may interact with the living. Paranormal investigators have explored Logan Correctional Center to document these occurrences. Using audio recorders, cameras, and environmental sensors, investigators have recorded unexplained footsteps, voices, and temperature fluctuations. While video footage occasionally captures fleeting shadows or shapes that vanish when approached, though skeptics suggest structural acoustics, drafts, or psychological factors could explain some phenomena, the frequency and consistency of reports lend credibility to the idea that something unusual persists within the facility. Even casual visitors to Logan Correctional Center often report a sense of unease upon entering. The combination of shadowy figures, sudden chills, and unexplained noises creates an atmosphere that feels alive, almost sentient. Certain wings feel heavier or more oppressive, particularly those associated with historical unrest or isolation units. The lingering presence of intense emotion, combined with the architecture and history of the prison, creates an environment where the past and present seem to intersect in ways that are both unsettling and compelling. Logan Correctional Center stands as a striking example of how history, human emotion, and environment can converge to create experiences that defy ordinary explanation. The disembodied voices, shadowy figures, and sudden drops in temperature suggest that residual energy, or perhaps the spirits of former inmates, continues to manifest within the facility. For those who walk its corridors, Logan Correctional Center is more than a correctional institution. It is a space where the echoes of the past remain, leaving an indelible impression on anyone who enters. It is a place where the history of violence and unrest is never entirely gone, and where the living remain aware of the unseen presence of those who came before. Taylorville Correctional Center, located in Taylorville, Illinois, has been operational since 1987 and serves as a medium-security facility housing a variety of inmates. Over the decades, the prison has developed a reputation for unexplained and unsettling activity. Staff, guards, and occasional visitors have reported a range of phenomena, from disembodied voices and fleeting shadows to sudden temperature drops, all of which suggest that the facility may be haunted. Many believe these occurrences are tied to the prison's history of overcrowding, unrest, and the intense emotions experienced by those who have spent time within its walls. Creating an environment where the past refuses to remain silent, the architecture of Taylorville Correctional Center contributes to its eerie atmosphere. Long, narrow corridors lined with metal doors, high ceilings, and stark fluorescent lighting dominate the interior, creating a sense of confinement that is both physical and psychological. Even in areas where natural light reaches, the building maintains a cold and oppressive feel. Staff members frequently report that certain wings or sections of the facility feel markedly different from others, heavier, colder, or imbued with a sense of tension that seems almost tangible. These areas often coincide with older cell blocks, solitary confinement units, or locations that have historically housed violent or high-risk inmates. One of the most commonly reported phenomena at Taylorville Correctional Center is the sound of disembodied voices. Guards working night shifts often describe hearing whispers, murmurs, or even full conversations echoing through empty hallways. Some voices sound urgent or distressed, while others appear casual, as though replaying ordinary interactions from the past. Inmates have reported similar experiences, hearing voices in areas where no one else is present, sometimes echoing arguments, complaints, or shouts from earlier incidents. The unpredictability of these auditory experiences makes them particularly unsettling, often leaving those who hear them questioning the boundaries between the living and the unseen. Shadowy figures are another hallmark of Taylorville's reported paranormal activity. Witnesses describe seeing dark silhouettes moving just out of the corner of their vision, standing at the ends of hallways, or disappearing behind walls when approached. Some figures appear human, resembling former inmates or staff members, while others take on more amorphous forms, shifting and indistinct. These sightings frequently coincide with other phenomena, such as cold spots or disembodied sounds, creating multisensory experiences that are difficult to explain. Staff and inmates alike report feeling a presence accompanying these sightings, reinforcing the sense that the prison is a place where past and present overlap. Temperature fluctuations are also commonly reported within the prison. Sudden drops in temperature, often confined to specific areas, are frequently accompanied by a feeling of heaviness or pressure in the air. Guards describe chills that penetrate clothing and create immediate discomfort, while inmates report feelings of unease or dread in these cold zones. These occurrences are often concentrated in areas historically associated with conflict, overcrowding, or punishment, leading some to believe that the residual energy of human emotion has left a tangible mark on the building itself. The history of Taylorville Correctional Center provides context for these reported experiences. Overcrowding has been a persistent challenge, creating tense conditions for both inmates and staff. Incidents of violence, altercations, and periods of unrest have been common, resulting in a high concentration of stress, fear, and anger within confined spaces. Many believe that these intense emotional experiences leave a lingering imprint, capable of manifesting as paranormal activity. The architecture of the prison, designed to isolate and control, may amplify these energies, making them more perceptible to those who enter or work within the facility. Physical sensations often accompany the visual and auditory phenomena reported at Taylorville. Many staff members describe feeling as if they are being watched, even when alone in empty corridors or rooms. Some report a sudden brush against their body, or the sensation of weight pressing down, often without a visible source. Inmates have experienced similar sensations, sometimes describing fleeting panic, fear, or unease that seems to arise spontaneously. These physical impressions reinforce the perception that the prison is more than just a structure. It is a space where the residual effects of past experiences continue to interact with the living. Paranormal investigators have taken an interest in Taylorville Correctional Center because of the frequency and consistency of these reports. Using cameras, audio recorders, and environmental sensors, investigators have documented unexplained sounds, visual anomalies, and sudden temperature changes. Audio recordings often capture faint whispers or footsteps in empty corridors, while cameras occasionally reveal shadows or movements that vanish when approached. Thermal imaging has identified sudden temperature fluctuations that defy ordinary explanation, while skeptics argue that some phenomena may result from structural quirks, acoustics, or psychological suggestion. The repeated accounts over time suggest a persistent source of unexplained activity. Even casual visitors to Taylorville Correctional Center often report an immediate sense of unease. The combination of cold spots, fleeting shadows, and unexplained noises creates an atmosphere that feels alive and almost sentient. Certain areas feel heavier, charged, or oppressive, particularly those associated with historical unrest or overcrowding. The lingering presence of intense emotions, combined with the architecture and history of the facility, creates an environment where the past seems to intrude upon the present in ways that are both unsettling and compelling. Taylorville Correctional Center stands as a striking example of how human emotion, historical events, and architecture can converge to create experiences that defy easy explanation. The disembodied voices, shadowy figures, and sudden temperature drops reported over the years suggest that the prison retains traces of its past, whether as residual energy, spiritual presence, or perceptual phenomena. For those who traverse its corridors, Taylorville Correctional Center is more than a correctional facility. It is a place where history, unrest, and the unexplained meet, leaving a lasting impression on all who enter its walls. Pinckneyville Correctional Center, located in Pinckneyville, Illinois, has been operational since 1990 and serves as a medium-security facility housing a range of inmates from across the state. Despite being a relatively modern institution, the prison has gained a reputation for unusual and unsettling occurrences. Over the years, staff, guards, and inmates have reported experiences that defy easy explanation, including disembodied voices, shadowy figures, and sudden drops in temperature. Many believe that these paranormal phenomena are linked to the prison's history of violent incidents, unrest, and the intense emotions that have permeated the facility over the decades. The layout and architecture of Pinckneyville Correctional Center contribute to its eerie atmosphere. Long, narrow corridors lined with reinforced doors, high ceilings, and institutional lighting create a sense of confinement and tension. Even during daylight hours, the building can feel oppressive, amplified by the echoes of footsteps, the repetitive clanging of metal, and the isolation of certain wings. Staff members have often reported that specific areas of the prison feel markedly different from others, with some wings exhibiting a heaviness or coldness that is difficult to explain. These areas often correspond to older or more isolated cell blocks, locations that have historically seen violent incidents or housed high-risk inmates. One of the most commonly reported experiences is hearing disembodied voices. Guards working late shifts frequently describe hearing whispers, murmurs, or even conversations echoing through empty hallways. Some voices sound distressed, while others are neutral or mundane, as if replaying moments from the daily lives of former inmates or staff. Inmates have reported hearing similar sounds in areas where no one else is present, sometimes echoing arguments, complaints, or shouts from the past. These auditory experiences are often sudden and unpredictable, leaving those who hear them with a sense of unease and heightened awareness of their surroundings. Shadowy figures are another frequent phenomenon within the prison. Witnesses describe fleeting silhouettes moving along hallways, standing at the ends of corridors, or vanishing when approached. Some figures appear distinctly human, resembling past inmates or guards, while others take on amorphous, dark shapes that shift and disappear. These sightings often occur in tandem with other unexplained activity, such as sudden cold spots or strange noises, creating multisensory experiences that are difficult to dismiss. Both staff and inmates report feeling a presence accompanying these shadows, suggesting that they are more than mere visual illusions. Temperature fluctuations are commonly reported throughout the facility. Sudden drops in temperature often occur in specific cell blocks, wings, or isolated rooms. Staff describe chills that penetrate clothing and create immediate discomfort, while inmates report feelings of dread or unease in these areas. Many of these cold spots are located in parts of the prison associated with violent incidents, solitary confinement, or periods of high tension. These occurrences have led many to speculate that the intense emotions generated over the years may have left a lingering imprint on the building, manifesting as paranormal phenomena that continue to affect those inside. The history of Pinckneyville Correctional Center offers further context for these experiences. Since opening, the prison has seen numerous fights, altercations, and periods of unrest. Intense emotions, such as fear, anger, and frustration, are commonplace in a correctional environment. And many believe that these feelings may leave residual energy that persists long after the events themselves. The design of the facility, with long hallways, isolated wings, and reinforced cell blocks, may amplify these energies, making them more perceptible to those who walk its corridors. Physical sensations often accompany the visual and auditory phenomena reported at Pinckneyville. Staff members describe the sensation of being watched, even in areas where no one else is present. Some report brief touches or the feeling of pressure pressing against them without any visible source. Inmates have described sudden feelings of panic or dread that appear to arise without explanation. These physical impressions reinforce the perception that the prison is not simply a physical structure, but a space where the past continues to interact with the present. Paranormal investigators have shown interest in Pinckneyville Correctional Center due to the consistency and frequency of these reports. Using cameras, audio recorders, and environmental sensors, investigators have captured unexplained sounds, visual anomalies, and sudden temperature shifts. Audio recordings often reveal faint whispers or footsteps in otherwise empty corridors, while video footage occasionally shows shadowy forms that vanish when approached. Thermal imaging has identified rapid temperature fluctuations in areas that defy ordinary explanation, while skeptics suggest structural quirks or psychological suggestion may account for some experiences. The regularity of the phenomena over time supports the idea that something unusual persists within the prison. Even casual visitors to Pinckneyville Correctional Center frequently report a sense of unease upon entering. The combination of shadowy figures, sudden chills, and unexplained noises creates an atmosphere that feels almost alive. Certain wings feel heavier or more oppressive, particularly those associated with violent incidents or periods of unrest. The lingering presence of intense emotion and conflict contributes to the perception that the past continues to occupy the present, leaving a tangible impression on all who traverse the facility. Pinckneyville Correctional Center stands as a compelling example of how human emotion, history, and architecture can converge to produce experiences that defy ordinary explanation. The disembodied voices, shadowy figures, and sudden temperature drops reported over the years suggest that the facility retains traces of its past, whether as residual energy, spiritual presence, or perceptual phenomena. For those who walk its corridors today, Pinckneyville Correctional Center is more than just a prison. It is a place where the echoes of history, unrest, and human emotion continue to make themselves known, leaving an indelible impression on anyone who enters its walls. Big Muddy River Correctional Center, located in Enna, Illinois, has been operational since 1994, serving as a medium-security facility that houses a variety of inmates from across the state. While comparatively modern, the prison has developed a reputation for unusual and unsettling occurrences over the years. Staff, guards, and inmates alike have reported phenomena that defy conventional explanation, including disembodied voices, shadowy figures, and sudden drops in temperature. Many believe these experiences are linked to the prison's history of violent incidents, unrest, and the intense emotions that have taken place within its walls, suggesting that Big Muddy River Correctional Center is a location where the past continues to leave its mark. The architecture of Big Muddy River Correctional Center is functional, yet imposing. Long, narrow corridors, lined with metal doors, high ceilings, and industrial lighting create an atmosphere of confinement that is both physical and psychological. Even during daylight hours, the building maintains a sense of coldness and isolation, amplified by the echoes of footsteps, the hum of machinery, and the repetitive sounds of metal doors opening and closing. Staff members frequently report that certain wings or areas of the prison feel heavier, colder, or charged with tension, especially sections historically associated with violent incidents or higher-risk inmates. These areas often become focal points for reported paranormal activity. Auditory phenomena are among the most common experiences reported at Big Muddy River Correctional Center. Guards working late or overnight shifts describe hearing footsteps echoing down empty hallways, doors slamming shut with no apparent cause, and distant whispers or murmurs emanating from areas that appear completely vacant. Inmates have shared similar experiences, describing voices in cell blocks that should be empty, sometimes echoing arguments, complaints, or shouts from past conflicts. These sounds often occur unpredictably, creating a heightened sense of unease and leaving those who hear them questioning what is real and what may be a trick of the mind. Shadowy figures are another frequently reported phenomenon. Witnesses describe fleeting silhouettes moving along hallways, standing at the ends of corridors, or disappearing when approached. Some of these apparitions appear distinctly human, resembling former inmates or staff members, while others take on amorphous, shifting shapes that defy precise description. These shadowy figures often appear alongside other phenomena, such as sudden drops in temperature or unexplained noises, creating layered experiences that feel tangible and unsettling. Staff and inmates alike have reported a strong sense of presence during these sightings, as though the building itself is alive with echoes of the past. Temperature anomalies are also a common feature of Big Muddy River Correctional Center's reported paranormal activity. Sudden, localized drops in temperature often occur in particular wings, cell blocks, or isolated rooms. Guards describe chills that penetrate clothing and create immediate discomfort, while inmates report a sudden feeling of unease or dread in these areas. Many cold spots are concentrated in locations associated with past violence, solitary confinement, or periods of unrest, leading some to believe that the intense emotional energy generated over the years has left a lingering imprint on the building. The history of the facility provides further context for these reported experiences. Since opening in 1994, Big Muddy River Correctional Center has witnessed numerous violent incidents, altercations between inmates, and periods of tension and unrest. These events generate high concentrations of fear, anger, and frustration, emotions that many believe may leave behind residual energy capable of manifesting as paranormal activity. The very design of the prison, with long corridors, isolated wings, and reinforced cell blocks may amplify these energies, making them more perceptible to those who enter or work within the facility. Physical sensations often accompany the visual and auditory phenomena reported at Big Muddy River. Many staff describe feeling as though they are being watched, even in areas where no other person is present. Some report brief touches or a sense of pressure pressing against them without any visible cause. Inmates have described sudden feelings of panic, dread, or unease that arise without explanation, particularly in older or more isolated sections of the prison. These experiences reinforce the idea that the facility is not simply a physical structure, but a space where the energy of past events continues to interact with the living. Paranormal investigators have taken an interest in Big Muddy River Correctional Center due to the consistency and frequency of reports. Using audio recorders, cameras, and environmental sensors, investigators have documented unexplained footsteps, whispers, and sudden temperature fluctuations. Video footage occasionally captures shadowy forms that vanish when approached, while thermal imaging reveals rapid shifts in temperature with no clear explanation. While skeptics argue that structural quirks, acoustics, or psychological factors may account for some phenomena, the repeated and consistent nature of these experiences suggests a persistent, unexplained presence within the facility. Even casual visitors to Big Muddy River Correctional Center frequently report a sense of unease upon entering. The combination of shadowy figures, sudden chills, and disembodied noises creates an atmosphere that feels almost alive, as though the building itself retains memory of the events that occurred within its walls. Certain wings feel heavier or more oppressive, particularly those associated with past incidents of violence or unrest. The lingering presence of intense emotion contributes to the perception that the past continues to inhabit the present, leaving a lasting impression on all who traverse the facility. Big Muddy River Correctional Center serves as a striking example of how history, human emotion, and environment can converge to produce experiences that defy ordinary explanation. The disembodied voices, shadowy figures, and sudden drops in temperature reported over the years suggest that the facility retains traces of its past, whether as residual energy, spiritual presence, or perceptual phenomena. For those who walk its corridors today, Big Muddy River Correctional Center is more than a correctional facility. It is a place where the echoes of history, violence, and unrest remain alive, leaving an indelible mark on anyone who enters its walls. Southwestern Illinois Correctional Center, located in East St. Louis, Illinois, has been operational since 1989 and functions as a medium security facility, housing a diverse population of inmates. Despite being relatively modern, the prison has developed a reputation for unusual and unsettling occurrences. Staff, guards, and inmates have consistently reported experiences that defy easy explanation, including disembodied voices, shadowy figures, and sudden drops in temperature. Many believe these phenomena are connected to the prison's history of violent incidents, unrest, and the far intense emotions generated within its walls, suggesting that Southwestern Illinois' Correctional Center may be a place where the past continues to make its presence felt. The architecture and design of Southwestern Illinois' Correctional Center contribute significantly to its eerie atmosphere. Long, narrow corridors lined with reinforced metal doors and stark fluorescent lighting create an environment that is both confining and oppressive. Even in areas where natural light is present, the building maintains a cold, almost unwelcoming feel. Staff members often report that certain wings or sections of the facility carry a noticeably different energy. Some areas feel heavier, colder, or imbued with tension that is difficult to describe. These spaces frequently correspond to locations that have historically housed violent inmates, been the scene of altercations, or contained isolation units, and they are often the focal points for paranormal activity. Auditory phenomena are among the most frequently reported experiences within Southwestern Illinois Correctional Center. Guards working night shifts frequently describe hearing footsteps echoing through empty corridors, doors opening or slamming without explanation, and distant murmurs or voices that appear to have no source. Some voices are urgent or distressed, while others are more neutral, as though replaying fragments of conversations from past events. Inmates have reported similar experiences, hearing arguments, complaints, or shouts echoing through empty cell blocks. These sounds are often sudden and unpredictable, creating an atmosphere of tension and unease that can linger long after the noises cease. Shadowy figures are another common occurrence within the prison. Witnesses describe fleeting silhouettes moving at the edges of their vision, appearing at the end of hallways, or disappearing when approached. Some of these figures appear distinctly human, resembling former inmates or staff members, while others take on amorphous, shifting forms. These sightings often coincide with other unusual phenomena, such as sudden temperature drops or unexplained noises, creating a multi-layered experience that is difficult to dismiss. Staff and inmates alike report a strong sense of presence during these sightings, suggesting that the activity is more than a mere trick of the mind. Temperature anomalies are also frequently reported. Sudden drops in temperature, often localized to particular wings, cell blocks, or rooms, are accompanied by sensations of heaviness or pressure in the air. Guards describe chills that penetrate clothing and cause immediate discomfort, while inmates report feelings of dread or unease in these areas. Many cold spots are located in parts of the facility historically associated with violent incidents, disciplinary actions, or periods of heightened tension. These experiences have led some to speculate that the emotional energy generated over the years has left a lingering imprint on the building, manifesting as paranormal activity. The history of Southwestern Illinois Correctional Center provides context for these experiences. Since opening in 1989, the prison has witnessed numerous fights, altercations, and periods of unrest. The intensity of emotions during these incidents, fear, anger, frustration, and despair, may leave residual energy that persists long after the events themselves. The design of the facility, with long corridors, isolated wings, and reinforced cell blocks, may amplify these energies, making them more perceptible to staff and inmates who move through the building. Physical sensations often accompany the visual and auditory phenomena. Staff members describe the feeling of being watched, even in empty corridors or rooms. Some report brief touches, the sensation of weight pressing against them, or sudden pressure that has no visible source. Inmates have described sudden feelings of fear, unease, or panic that appear without explanation. These experiences reinforce the perception that the prison is not merely a structure, but a space where the past continues. to interact with the present in ways that are both unsettling and compelling. Paranormal investigators have explored southwestern Illinois Correctional Center due to the consistency and frequency of these reports. Using cameras, audio recorders, and environmental sensors, investigators have captured unexplained footsteps, whispers, and sudden temperature shifts. Video footage occasionally shows shadowy forms that vanish when approached, while thermal imaging identifies rapid changes in temperature in areas that defy ordinary explanation. While skeptics argue that structural issues, acoustics, or psychological factors may account for some occurrences, the sheer volume and regularity of the reported phenomena suggests that something unusual persists within the facility. Even casual visitors to the prison frequently report a sense of unease upon entering. The combination of shadowy figures, sudden chills, and disembodied noises creates an atmosphere that feels almost alive. Certain wings feel heavier or more oppressive, particularly those associated with violent incidents, unrest, or isolation. The lingering presence of intense emotion contributes to the perception that the past continues to inhabit the present, leaving a lasting impression on anyone who traverses the corridors. Southwestern Illinois Correctional Center stands as a striking example of how history, human emotion, and architecture can combine to produce experiences that defy conventional explanation. The disembodied voices, shadowy figures, and sudden temperature drops reported over the years suggest that the facility retains traces of its past, whether as residual energy, spiritual presence, or perceptual phenomena. For those who walk its corridors today, Southwestern Illinois Correctional Center is more than a correctional facility, is a place where the echoes of history, unrest, and violence remain, leaving an indelible impression on all who enter its walls. Shawnee Correctional Center, located in Vienna, Illinois, has been operational since 1980 and functions as a medium-security facility housing a diverse population of inmates. Over the decades, the prison has gained a reputation for unusual and unsettling occurrences, with staff, guards, and inmates reporting experiences that defy conventional explanation. These reports include disembodied voices, shadowy figures, sudden temperature drops, and an overwhelming feeling of being watched. Many believe these phenomena are linked to the prison's long history of unrest, violent incidents, and the intense emotions generated within its walls, suggesting that Shawnee Correctional Center may be a place where the echoes of the past persist. The layout and architecture of Shawnee Correctional Center contribute significantly to its eerie atmosphere. Long, narrow corridors lined with reinforced metal doors, industrial lighting, and high ceilings create an environment that feels confining and oppressive. Even in areas exposed to natural light, the facility maintains a cold, unwelcoming atmosphere, amplified by the repetitive hum of fluorescent lights and the distant clanging of doors. Staff members often report that certain wings feel markedly different from others, with some areas appearing heavier, colder, or charged with a sense of tension. These areas often correspond to sections that have historically witnessed violent incidents, housed high-risk inmates, or contain solitary confinement units, and they are frequently the focal points for paranormal activity. Auditory phenomena are among the most commonly reported experiences at Shawnee Correctional Center. Guards working night shifts often describe hearing footsteps echoing through empty corridors, doors opening or slamming shut without explanation, and whispers or murmurs that seem to emanate from nowhere. Inmates have reported similar experiences, hearing arguments, shouts, or complaints echoing in areas that should be empty. These sounds are often sudden and unpredictable, creating a heightened sense of unease and tension that can linger long after the noises have stopped. Many describe the voices as urgent or distressed, as if replaying moments of fear or anger from the prison's past. Shadowy figures are another frequent phenomenon reported at Shawnee. Witnesses describe fleeting silhouettes moving at the edges of their vision, standing at the ends of hallways, or vanishing when approached. Some of these figures appear distinctly human, resembling former inmates or staff members, while others take on amorphous, shifting forms. These apparitions often appear alongside other unexplained phenomena, such as sudden cold spots or disembodied sounds, creating layered experiences that feel tangible and unsettling. Both staff and inmates report a strong sense of presence during these sightings, suggesting that the activity is more than a simple trick of the mind. Temperature fluctuations are a hallmark of paranormal activity at Shawnee Correctional Center. Sudden, localized drops in temperature frequently occur in specific cell blocks, wings, or isolated rooms. Guards describe chills that penetrate clothing and create immediate discomfort, while inmates report feelings of dread or unease in these areas. Many cold spots are concentrated in areas historically associated with violent incidents, disciplinary action, or periods of unrest, leading some to believe that the intense emotional energy generated over the years has left a lasting imprint on the building itself. The history of Shawnee Correctional Center provides context for these reported experiences. Since opening in 1980, the prison has witnessed numerous violent incidents, altercations between inmates, and periods of unrest. The intensity of emotions during these events, fear, anger, frustration, and despair, may leave residual energy that continues to manifest as paranormal phenomena. The very design of the facility, with long corridors, isolated wings, and reinforced cell blocks, may amplify these energies, making them more perceptible to those who enter or work within the prison. Physical sensations often accompany the visual and auditory phenomena at Shawnee. Staff members describe the sensation of being watched even in empty corridors or rooms. Some report brief touches, a pressure pressing against them, or sudden chills with no visible source. Inmates have described sudden feelings of fear, unease, or panic that seem to arise without explanation. These experiences reinforce the perception that the prison is not merely a structure, but a space where the past continues to interact with the present in ways that are both unsettling and undeniable. Paranormal investigators have taken an interest in Shawnee Correctional Center due to the frequency and consistency of these reports. Using cameras, audio recorders, and environmental sensors, investigators have documented unexplained footsteps, whispers, and sudden temperature shifts. Video footage occasionally captures shadowy forms that vanish when approached, while thermal imaging identifies rapid changes in temperature in areas with no clear explanation. While skeptics suggest structural quirks, psychological suggestion, or acoustics may explain some of these phenomena, the regularity of reports over decades suggests that something unexplained persists within the prison. Even casual visitors to Shawnee Correctional Center often report a sense of unease upon entering. The combination of shadowy figures, sudden chills, and disembodied noises creates an atmosphere that feels almost alive, as though the building itself retains the memory of past events. Certain wings feel heavier or more oppressive, particularly those associated with violent incidents or periods of unrest. The lingering presence of intense human emotion contributes to the perception that the past continues to inhabit the present, leaving a lasting impression on anyone who moves through the corridors. Shawnee Correctional Center stands as a compelling example of how history, human emotion, and environment can converge to create experiences that defy conventional explanation. The disembodied voices, shadowy figures, and sudden temperature drops reported over the years suggest that the facility retains traces of its past, whether as residual energy, spiritual presence, or perceptual phenomena. For those who walk its halls today, Shawnee Correctional Center is more than a prison. It is a space where the echoes of unrest, violence, and intense emotion continue to make themselves known, leaving an indelible mark on all who enter its walls. Pontiac Juvenile Correctional Center, located in Pontiac, Illinois, has long been recognized as a facility designed for youthful offenders. Yet over the decades, it has developed a dark and unsettling reputation. Despite its rehabilitative intentions, the prison has been the site of numerous reports of paranormal activity, with staff, visitors, and even former employees recounting experiences that defy conventional explanation. These reports include faint cries echoing through empty corridors, whispered voices with no discernible source, and fleeting shadows of young figures that vanish before they can be approached. Many believe that the center's history of confinement, discipline, and emotional trauma has left an indelible mark, tethering the youthful spirits of past inmates to the facility. The architecture of Pontiac Juvenile Correctional Center plays a significant role in the eerie atmosphere that pervades the building. Long, narrow hallways, lined with metal doors and reinforced walls, stretch into dimly lit wings, while institutional lighting casts harsh shadows across floors and ceilings. Even during daytime hours, the hallways can feel oppressive and isolating, amplified by the echo of footsteps and the repetitive clatter of metal doors. Staff members have often reported that certain areas feel markedly different from others, heavier, colder, or charged with a tension that seems almost palpable. These sections often coincide with wings that housed the most troubled or violent, youthful inmates, as well as rooms historically used for solitary confinement or disciplinary measures. Auditory phenomena are among the most frequently reported experiences at Pontiac Juvenile Correctional Center. Staff and visitors describe hearing faint crying or sobbing in areas where no one is present, as though the anguish of the past lingers in the air. Whispers and murmurs, often indecipherable, echo through empty hallways, giving the sense that conversations are being replayed from years past. Footsteps are frequently reported in corridors at night, pacing slowly or suddenly stopping, as if the presence is aware it is being observed. Inmates, both current and former, have reported similar experiences, hearing the sounds of other young residents moving through the halls, despite the spaces being empty. These auditory experiences often create a sense of unease, as though the building itself is alive with the memory of those who once walked its corridors. Visual phenomena are also commonly reported within the facility. Many witnesses describe fleeting shadows of young figures darting across hallways or lingering at the ends of corridors, vanishing when approached. Some of these apparitions appear distinctly human, resembling the youthful inmates who once resided there, while others are less defined, taking on shifting, shadowy forms. These visual experiences often occur alongside auditory phenomena, creating layered encounters that feel tangible and disorienting. Staff and visitors have reported a strong sense of being watched during these sightings, as though the facility itself is attentive to those who traverse its corridors. Temperature anomalies further enhance the unsettling atmosphere. Sudden localized drops in temperature are frequently reported in specific wings or rooms, often accompanied by the sensation of heaviness in the air. Staff describe chills that seem to penetrate clothing and cling to the body, while visitors report an inexplicable feeling of dread in these cold spots. Many of these temperature anomalies occur in areas associated with past disciplinary actions, violent incidents, or periods of unrest, suggesting that the residual energy of past experiences continues to manifest within the environment. The history of the facility offers context for these occurrences. Pontiac Juvenile Correctional Center has been operational for decades, housing thousands of young offenders over time. The intense emotions generated within the wall sphere, frustration, anger, and despair may leave lingering impressions, creating a kind of residual energy that can manifest as paranormal phenomena. The architecture of the building, with its long hallways, isolated rooms, and reinforced cell blocks, may amplify these energies, making them more perceptible to those who enter. Over time, the combination of trauma, confinement, and human emotion may have created an environment where the echoes of the past remain deeply imprinted on the present. Physical sensations often accompany the auditory and visual experiences reported at Pontiac. Staff members frequently describe the feeling of being watched or followed in empty hallways. Some report fleeting touches, a brush against the shoulder, or a sensation of pressure in areas where no one else is present. Visitors and former inmates have recounted sudden feelings of panic or dread that arise without warning, particularly in wings or rooms associated with past unrest or punishment. These experiences reinforce the perception that the building is more than a mere structure. It is a space where the past and present intersect in ways that are both unsettling and difficult to explain. Paranormal investigators have periodically explored Pontiac Juvenile Correctional Center, drawn by the consistency of reports over decades. Using audio recording devices, cameras, and environmental sensors, investigators have documented unexplained sounds, shadowy figures, and sudden temperature fluctuations. Recordings often capture faint, sobbing whispers, or footsteps in corridors devoid of human presence, while cameras sometimes reveal shadowy forms that vanish when approached. Thermal imaging occasionally identifies rapid temperature shifts in areas that have no obvious source, while skeptics attribute some experiences to psychological factors, acoustics, or structural peculiarities. The volume and consistency of the reports suggest that a persistent, unexplained presence exists within the facility. Even casual visitors often report an immediate sense of unease upon entering the center. The combination of cold spots, shadowy figures, and disembodied sounds creates an atmosphere that feels almost alive, as though the building retains the memory of the countless young lives once confined within its walls. Certain wings feel heavier or more oppressive, particularly those associated with solitary confinement or past incidents of violence. The lingering energy of human emotion and trauma contributes to the perception that the past continues to inhabit the present. Pontiac Juvenile Correctional Center stands as a stark example of how human emotion, history, and environment can converge to create experiences that defy conventional explanation. The cries, whispers, shadowy figures, and sudden chills reported over the decades suggest that the facility retains traces of its past. Whether as residual energy, spiritual presence, or perceptual phenomena, for those who walk its corridors today, Pontiac Juvenile Correctional Center is more than a place of confinement. It is a space where the echoes of youthful lives, unrest, and intense emotion continue to make themselves felt, leaving a lasting impression on all who enter. Vandalia State Penitentiary, located in Vandalia, Illinois, stands as one of the state's most chilling remnants of a bygone era. Though no longer operational, the prison's ruins carry with them an atmosphere of suffering and despair that refuses to fade with time. Established in the mid-19th century, the penitentiary was originally built to address the overcrowding of nearby facilities. Its stone walls and iron gates once confined hundreds of inmates, many of whom endured harsh punishments, brutal living conditions, and the unrelenting weight of confinement. Over the decades, stories of suffering and cruelty etched themselves into the very bones of the structure, creating a lingering presence that visitors and investigators claim is still active to this day. Even in its abandoned state, Vandalia State Penitentiary exudes a sense of oppression. The crumbling walls, rusted iron bars, and empty corridors create a setting that feels frozen in time. As though the ghosts of the past continue to pace the cell blocks, visitors often remark on the silence of the grounds, a silence so profound that even the faintest sound becomes magnified. Yet that silence is often interrupted by unexplained noises that defy logical explanation. Reports of distant moans drifting through the air, the clang of metal doors slamming shut, and chains rattling in empty hallways have been documented for decades. These sounds seem to emerge most frequently at night, when the prison's oppressive stillness amplifies every echo. Paranormal investigators who have ventured into Vandalia's ruins describe sudden and dramatic changes in the environment. Cold spots appear out of nowhere, pockets of icy air that chill the skin even in the heat of summer. These temperature drops are often accompanied by other phenomena: whispers in the darkness, footsteps echoing on crumbling floors, and the overwhelming sensation of being watched. Many who have entered the old cell blocks describe an immediate shift in atmosphere, as though crossing an invisible boundary between the present and the past. Within these spaces, time feels distorted, and the weight of despair seems to press down from every direction. The cell blocks themselves are among the most active areas of reported paranormal encounters. Some investigators claim to have seen faint silhouettes moving between the cells, their forms illuminated only by moonlight filtering through broken windows. These apparitions are often described as tall, shadow-like figures, sometimes pausing as if to observe before vanishing without a trace. Witnesses have also reported glowing orbs drifting through the darkness, flickering in and out of sight. The presence of these phenomena has led many to believe that the spirits of former inmates remain tethered to the place where they suffered and, in many cases, died. Disembodied voices are another hallmark of Vandalia's haunted reputation. Visitors often hear murmured conversations, guttural groans, or cries for help echoing through the corridors. Some investigators with audio equipment have captured what they believe to be electronic voice phenomena recordings of words or phrases not heard at the time of filming. These recordings frequently include plaintive cries, apologies, or fragmented sentences that suggest unresolved pain. One particularly chilling report described the sound of a man whispering, "Let me out," over and over, recorded in a wing where solitary confinement cells once stood. The penitentiary's grim history offers a possible explanation for these paranormal reports. During its operational years, Vandalia was notorious for its harsh punishments and inhumane conditions. Inmates endured overcrowded cells, inadequate food, and brutal treatment from guards. Solitary confinement was a common disciplinary method, often driving inmates to madness after long stretches in isolation. Fights, riots, and suicides added to the already heavy atmosphere, leaving behind a legacy of violence and despair. It is widely believed that these conditions created an environment ripe for unrest, with the lingering energy of pain and trauma still echoing within the prison's walls. Even those who are skeptical of the paranormal have acknowledged the unsettling feeling of walking the grounds. Visitors often describe a physical heaviness, a sense of unease that settles over them the moment they enter the ruins. Some report dizziness or sudden nausea without any clear cause, while others feel an overwhelming urge to leave certain areas, as though an unseen force is pressing them away. These sensations are most pronounced in the older sections of the penitentiary, particularly the cell blocks and solitary confinement wings. Legends have grown around Vandalia's haunted reputation. Local folklore tells of guards who still patrol the cell blocks in spectral form, their footsteps echoing along the corridors as they search for order in a place long abandoned. Inmates who suffered violent deaths are said to appear as faint figures, sometimes crouched in corners or pacing restlessly in their cells. A few witnesses even claim to have seen ghostly faces staring from barred windows, their expressions twisted in anguish. These tales, while difficult to verify, have become an inseparable part of the penitentiary's identity, drawing curious explorers and investigators eager to experience the supernatural for themselves. Despite its abandonment, Illinois State Penitentiary continues to attract attention from historians, paranormal researchers, and thrill-seekers. Its legacy as a site of confinement, punishment, and suffering has left behind more than just crumbling stone and rusted bars. It has created a space where the past lingers, replaying itself in echoes, shadows, and whispers. Whether these phenomena are the result of restless spirits, residual energy, or the psychological weight of the prison's history, the experiences reported are consistent and unnerving. For many, Vandalia stands as a stark reminder of the consequences of cruelty and injustice. Its haunted reputation reflects the lives of those who endured unimaginable suffering within its walls, their anguish etched into the very foundation of the building. The moans in the night, the clang of unseen doors, the chilling cold spots, and the fleeting silhouettes are more than ghost stories. They are reminders of lives cut short, of despair that was never resolved. The penitentiary may be silent now, its cells long empty, but the echoes of its past remain alive, refusing to be forgotten. Centralia Correctional Facility in Centralia, Illinois, carries with it a history steeped in conflict, tragedy, and unease. Built in the early 20th century, it was designed to address the growing need for inmate housing during a period when Illinois was expanding its prison system. For decades, it has been the backdrop to countless altercations, violent outbreaks, and inmate tragedies, each one leaving an indelible mark upon the institution. While the facility remains a functional part of Illinois' correctional network, the atmosphere within its walls is anything but ordinary. Staff members, Visitors, and even paranormal investigators, have reported incidents that suggest the prison holds more than just memories of its troubled past. Some insist that the shadows of those who once lived and sometimes died within its walls linger still, restless, and unresolved. The architecture of Centralia Correctional Facility, with its cold stone, iron bars, and endless hallways, was never meant to inspire comfort. Yet over time, its physical presence has taken on an aura of unease. Many correctional officers have spoken of the strange silence that fills the prison during late-night shifts, a silence that feels far heavier than simple quiet. Even the sound of a key turning in a lock or the echo of boots on the floor seems amplified, as though the building itself is listening. It is in these quiet hours that the most unnerving experiences are said to occur. Doors, for example, have been known to slam shut without explanation. Veteran staff members claim that the heavy cell doors, often requiring significant force to close, will suddenly swing shut on their own, echoing through the corridors. Others describe the sound of footsteps trailing them as they make their rounds, yet when they turn to look, no one is there. On multiple occasions, officers have attempted to investigate these occurrences only to find the hallways empty, their radios silent, and the atmosphere heavy with an almost oppressive weight. One of the most unsettling accounts comes from those who have reported shadowy figures appearing in their peripheral vision. These fleeting silhouettes often dart across corridors or linger in doorways before vanishing completely when approached. Some describe these figures as distinctly human-shaped, while others report them as dark, undefined masses that seem to absorb the light around them. Witnesses say the sightings often leave behind an icy chill, as if the air itself grows denser in their presence. Though skeptics often dismiss these claims as fatigue or the tricks of poor lighting, the consistency of the reports over decades has made them difficult to ignore. Even more disturbing are the stories involving ghostly faces seen peering from barred windows. Staff conducting exterior rounds at night have occasionally spotted pale faces staring down at them, often in sections of the facility known to be unoccupied. These apparitions vanish the moment anyone approaches to investigate, leaving officers shaken and unsettled. Some insist the faces appear to be filled with anguish, as though silently crying out for release from a torment that never ended. The prison's violent past may provide some context for these disturbing experiences. Centralia has witnessed riots, suicides, and assaults, each tragedy adding to the collective energy of despair that hangs in the air. Inmates who lost their lives under violent or unresolved circumstances are believed by some to still inhabit the facility, their spirits tethered to the place of their suffering. Paranormal enthusiasts argue that such intense emotional events can leave imprints on the environment, creating echoes of the past that manifest as ghostly apparitions, disembodied sounds, or even physical sensations. Reports of unexplained activity are not limited to staff alone. Inmates, too, have recounted eerie experiences within the prison. Some claim to hear voices whispering in the darkness of their cells at night, words too faint to fully understand, but clear enough to be unmistakable. Others describe waking in the middle of the night to the sensation of someone standing over them, only to find no one there. A few even insist they have seen fellow inmates vanish into thin air, appearing for only a moment as ghostly outlines before dissolving into shadows. The solitary confinement units are often considered the most haunted areas of the facility. Correctional officers who have entered these wings after hours have described overwhelming feelings of dread, as though the walls themselves carried the weight of the anguish suffered within them. Some report hearing anguished cries echoing from empty cells, while others have witnessed doors slamming violently in succession, as though some unseen force is making its presence known. Paranormal investigators who have gained access to the site claim to have recorded disembodied voices, moans, and even the faint, metallic clang of chains dragging across the floor. Not all encounters at Centralia are frightening, however. A few staff members have spoken of moments that feel almost protective. Some officers describe hearing whispered warnings just before incidents occur, such as a fight breaking out or an inmate attempting self-harm. These experiences, though unsettling, suggest that not all of the prison's spectral inhabitants are malevolent. Some may be attempting to communicate, to reach across the veil of death and alert the living to danger. Still, the majority of the reports leave an unmistakable impression of unease. The oppressive atmosphere, the unexplained noises, the fleeting shadows, and the anguished faces glimpsed in the dark all point to a facility haunted not just by its past, but by the souls who can never seem to leave it behind. Paranormal researchers who have studied Centralia argued that the combination of emotional trauma, violent history, and lingering despair creates the perfect environment for supernatural activity. Whether one believes in ghosts or not, there is no denying that Centralia Correctional Facility radiates an energy that unsettles even the most skeptical visitor. Its walls have borne witness to countless tragedies, and its halls have echoed with the cries of those who never found peace. For those who work there, each unexplained sound or fleeting shadow serves as a reminder that the past is never truly gone. Instead, it lingers in whispers, footsteps, and fleeting glimpses, a haunting echo of lives once lived within the prison's unforgiving walls. Dixon Correctional Center, located in Dixon, Illinois, has developed a reputation not only as a long-standing correctional facility, but also as a place where the boundary between the living and the dead seems unusually thin. Opened in the latter half of the 20th century, the prison was intended to modernize inmate housing and bring order to an expanding population of offenders. Yet, despite its intended purpose, Dixon has seen its share of unrest, tragedies, and incidents that have left scars on both the inmates and the staff who have walked its halls. Over time, whispers of paranormal activity began to circulate, with countless reports suggesting that something unseen lingers within the facility's older wings. Stories of eerie experiences at Dixon often begin with sound. Guards assigned to night duty frequently speak of cries and whispers echoing from areas known to be unoccupied. These voices are sometimes described as anguished wails, other times as faint, urgent murmurs too low to make out clearly. Officers have recalled approaching the source of these sounds only to find the hallways empty and silent, as if the voices evaporated into thin air. Some claim the sounds are so real that they have called in reinforcements, believing they were hearing an inmate in distress. Each time, the search has ended with nothing but the heavy weight of unease and unanswered questions. Temperature fluctuations are another recurring phenomenon. Cold spots, brief, concentrated areas where the air drops dramatically are frequently reported in the prison's corridors. These sudden changes are so distinct that officers often liken them to walking through an invisible curtain. The chill seems to seep into the bones, lingering long after the person has moved away from the spot. In some cases, these cold zones have been accompanied by other phenomena, such as the sound of heavy breathing or the sensation of someone brushing past unseen. Such reports occur often enough that they have become a part of Dixon's lore, leaving staff wary of certain stretches of hallway after nightfall. Perhaps the most unnerving accounts come from sightings of apparitions. Former inmates, or at least what appeared to be their spectral forms, have been glimpsed wandering the grounds after dark. Guards patrolling at night have spoken of seeing shadowy figures pacing behind barred windows, only for those figures to vanish the moment they are approached. Some describe fully formed apparitions of men in dated prison uniforms, walking in silence as though retracing steps from decades ago. These figures rarely acknowledge those who see them, often disappearing into walls or fading into nothing before the stunned observer's eyes. Dixon's older wings, in particular, are said to be hotspots for paranormal activity. These areas, with their aging infrastructure and long history of inmate tragedies, carry an especially heavy atmosphere. Officers who have worked there speak of an oppressive energy that is hard to shake. Some describe the sensation of being watched constantly, eyes following them from unseen corners. Others recount moments where doors slam shut on their own, keys rattle on their belts without reason, or radios crackle with static and disembodied voices. The accumulation of these reports paints a chilling picture of a prison that refuses to let go of its past. The facility's dark reputation is rooted in more than ghost stories. it is tied closely to the harsh realities of prison life. Dixon has seen countless altercations between inmates, some ending in violent deaths. Suicides and medical emergencies have also added to the toll, ensuring that the prison's history is marked by suffering and untimely loss. Staff who believe in the paranormal often suggest that such intense emotional trauma leaves an imprint, creating echoes of anguish that replay long after the events themselves have ended. In this way, the apparitions and whispers are seen not as random occurrences, but as the lingering presence of inmates who never found peace. One particularly chilling tale involves a cell block long since decommissioned. Officers entering the space for maintenance have reported hearing the rhythmic sound of metal clanging, as though an inmate were running a cup across the bars in protest. On more than one occasion, they claim to have found the bars vibrating faintly, as if recently disturbed, though no one had been near them. Another report describes the unmistakable sound of someone sobbing softly from a locked cell, only for the cries to cease abruptly as the door was opened to reveal nothing but darkness. Inmates themselves have also shared their accounts. Some report waking in the night to see figures standing silently at the foot of their beds, vanishing when they blink. Others describe hearing footsteps pacing outside their cells long after the rounds have been completed. A few have even refused to sleep in certain cells, claiming the energy there is so heavy and suffocating that it feels impossible to rest. These first-hand reports, though often dismissed by officials, add another layer of credibility to the prison's haunted reputation. Paranormal investigators who have been allowed to study the facility speak of capturing electronic voice phenomena, unexplained shadows, and even video recordings of fleeting figures. In one investigation, a team claimed to have recorded a clear voice whispering, "Still here," in response to a direct question about whether anyone remained in the cell block. Another captured a sudden drop in temperature, accompanied by the image of a hazy figure moving across the frame of their camera. While skeptics argue these results can be explained by environmental factors or equipment malfunction, those who have experienced the phenomena firsthand are not so easily convinced. Dixon Correctional Center's haunted reputation endures because of the sheer consistency of the reports. Across generations of staff and inmates, the same stories emerge: cries in the night, footsteps in empty halls, cold spots, and ghostly apparitions. Whether one attributes these experiences to supernatural forces, psychological stress, or the power of suggestion, there is no denying that Dixon exudes an aura of unease. The combination of its grim history, harsh conditions, and untimely deaths has woven a tapestry of unrest that seems to cling to the walls. For those who walk its corridors, especially in the lonely hours of the night, Dixon is more than just a prison. It is a place where the past is never fully silenced, where whispers still rise from the shadows, and where faces appear in the dark, only to vanish before they can be confronted. The haunting of Dixon Correctional Center is a reminder that the energy of human suffering, once unleashed, does not easily fade. Instead, it lingers in echoes and shadows, waiting for the next witness to stumble upon its chilling presence. Eastmoreland Detention Center, tucked away in the city of Eastmoreland, Illinois, is not one of the state's largest or most infamous correctional facilities, yet it has developed an unsettling reputation of its own. Unlike the sprawling maximum security prisons that dominate the Midwest, this detention center is relatively modest in scale, but its smaller size has done little to shield it from whispers of the paranormal. In fact, many argue that its compact corridors and confined atmosphere make its hauntings all the more intense, concentrating the strange energies into spaces that are impossible to ignore. Over the years, countless reports from staff, visitors, and even former inmates have painted a picture of a place where the boundaries between the living and the dead blur more often than one might expect. Shadow figures, mysterious noises, and inexplicable sensations seem to thrive within its walls. These experiences may not be as widely publicized as the hauntings of larger facilities, yet they persist in such a steady, consistent manner that the Eastmoreland Detention Center has cemented its place among Illinois' most haunted prisons. The most common stories told about the facility revolve around shadow figures, Dark, human-shaped outlines have been spotted slipping across the corridors, darting from cell to cell, or standing motionless in doorways before vanishing. Witnesses often describe these figures as fleeting, as though they exist only in the corner of one's vision, disappearing the moment one turns to face them. Yet, on occasion, staff members have recounted seeing the forms head-on. Tall, dark silhouettes that linger for several seconds before dissolving into the dim light. These encounters tend to leave those who witness them shaken, describing a sense of being in the presence of something deeply unnatural. Adding to the prison's reputation are the strange sounds that echo through its halls. The rattle of chains is one of the most chilling and frequently reported noises, often heard late at night when the facility has settled into silence. Guards have followed the metallic clinking, expecting to find a source, perhaps a loose fixture or a misplaced set of restraints, only to discover nothing at all. Some claim the sound seems to move ahead of them, as though leading them deeper into the building, only to vanish abruptly beyond the chains. There are also reports of footsteps echoing across empty corridors and faint voices drifting from unoccupied cells. Perhaps even more unnerving than sights and sounds is the persistent sensation of being followed. Both staff and visitors have shared stories of walking through the facility and feeling an invisible presence trailing behind them. Some describe it as a prickling awareness of eyes watching them, while others insist they felt something brush against their shoulders or hover close enough to disturb the air around them. On certain occasions, this sensation is so strong that individuals have turned to confront what they believe must be a fellow staff member, only to find themselves utterly alone. The sensation of being shadowed lingers long after, often causing people to hurry through their tasks with an anxious glance over their shoulders. Poltergeist-like activity is another strange occurrence tied to East Moline. Staff members have recounted stories of objects moving seemingly on their own. Clipboards have fallen from hooks, files have been pushed from desks, and keys have been discovered in places no one remembers leaving them. Doors are particularly active, slamming shut with startling force or creaking open without anyone nearby. One officer reported locking a door behind him, only to hear it swing open moments later, with no explanation. While skeptics suggest drafts or old building mechanics may play a role, those who have witnessed these events firsthand are not convinced. The feeling of being watched is one of the most universally acknowledged phenomena at the detention center. Even when alone in a secure wing, staff often report the sensation of unseen eyes fixed upon them. This oppressive awareness creates a constant undercurrent of tension that seems to permeate the facility. Some employees have admitted they avoid certain areas whenever possible, particularly after dark, because the sensation there becomes almost unbearable. It is as if the building itself holds a memory of those who once passed through, and those memories manifest as lingering presences unwilling to be forgotten. Theories about why East Moline Detention Center might be haunted abound. While it may lack the sheer scale of violence and tragedy seen at larger prisons, its smaller size does not exempt it from hardship. Like any correctional facility, it has witnessed conflict, despair, and untimely deaths. Inmates struggling with the weight of incarceration have taken their own lives within its walls. Others have succumbed to illness, their final days marked by isolation and fear. Guards, too, have faced their share of stress, trauma, and danger. Paranormal enthusiasts often argue that such intense emotions, grief, rage, hopelessness, leave behind imprints, energies that replay endlessly as shadows, voices, and disturbances. Some paranormal investigators who have visited the site claim to have captured electronic voice phenomena, faint recordings of whispers responding to direct questions. One team reported hearing the phrase, "still here," in a recording made in an empty cell. Others have documented sudden temperature drops and unexplained electromagnetic spikes, phenomena often associated with ghostly activity, while skeptics dismiss these findings as equipment errors or psychological suggestion. Those who have experienced the activity firsthand argue that the sheer consistency of the reports cannot be ignored. What makes East Moline particularly eerie is the intimacy of the hauntings. Unlike sprawling facilities where phenomena are spread across vast grounds, The compact layout of East Malign makes encounters feel inescapable. There is no vast yard or distant wing to confine the activity. Exists just beyond the next corner, in the very space where one stands. For those who believe, it creates the sense that the spirits here are closer, more personal, and more intent on making their presence known. Today, the East Malign Detention Center continues its daily operations, with staff performing their duties as they have for years. Yet behind the routines of security checks and inmate supervision lies an undercurrent of dread that never fully dissipates. Whether one attributes the eerie events to restless spirits, residual energy, or simply the stresses of prison life, the fact remains that this modest facility carries with it a weight far greater than its size would suggest. Its reputation as one of Illinois' most haunted prisons is not born from legend alone, but from a steady stream of first-hand accounts that continue to this day. For those who walk its halls, the East Malign Detention Center is more than just a place of confinement. It is a place where shadows slip just out of sight, where unseen presences trail behind, and where every sound carries the possibility of something otherworldly. It is a reminder that even in the smaller, less notorious corners of the prison system, the echoes of the past can cling tightly, refusing to release their grip. In East Malign, the walls do not simply contain the living, they also seem to harbor the restless dead. From the chilling halls of Old Joliet to the shadowed corridors of East Malign, Illinois prisons hold stories that go beyond mere brick and steel. These haunted sites serve as a grim reminder of the lives lost, the souls unsettled, and the echoes of history that refuse to fade. Whether it's the whispers of former inmates, sudden cold spots, or fleeting shadowy figures, each location leaves an indelible mark on those brave enough to explore it. Thank you for joining us on this journey through the most haunted prisons in Illinois. If you dare, step inside these storied walls. But remember, in these prisons, the past never truly stays behind bars. Until next time, keep your lights on and your courage close, for the spirits of Illinois are always watching.